Hey, how's it going? Happy Saturday. How's everybody doing today? Man, I feel like I haven't seen you in a while because I haven't. I haven't seen you since last Saturday. So hopefully everybody's doing okay. Hopefully everybody's doing well. Happy Saturday. Man, what a nice day. I first of all appreciate you being in the stream because at least if you're in the Midwest, it is super nice. It is like early spring right now, and I can just tell because everyone's outside. I hear hammers, saws, you name it. So I think everybody's super anxious to get outside. So if you're spending some time with me, hey, I greatly appreciate it. But yeah, sorry I wasn't here on Tuesday. That was my birthday, so I was gonna take some time off just to kind of hang out with my wife and just chill for my birthday, pretty much, and do some things I don't normally get to do. I know a lot of people like to stream on their birthday, and I know that's a thing, but you know, I wanted to take a break from that on that day and just spend some time with my wife and hang out. So, and I did a ton of home projects. So anyways, I'll wrap this up real quick. But yeah, I took the day off from work. I took the day off from streaming, kind of took the day off from social, and I did 3 or 4 home projects that I've just totally been putting off for a long time. So it was actually nice to just totally do something different, do something manual. I'm not the greatest at home improvement type stuff, but you know, I can do some DIY stuff and some IKEA hacks and stuff like that. So anyways, wrapped up a whole bunch of home projects, but and then started working on some new tech projects too that day too. So super good day. Anyways, how are you guys doing? What are you guys working on? What can I help with? The questions I asked every time. I'm super curious. Yeah, what you guys are working on, and if anything I can help with too, or somebody in the channel can help with, it would be fantastic. Real quick though, before we get started, there were a couple subs right there in the beginning. So HomeLab New, resub, tier 1, 8 months, dude, 4-month streak. Dude, thank you so much, HomeLab New. Whoa, 8 months. Yeah, crazy, man. Crazy, 8 months, man. I can't believe the numbers on some of these resubs. I'm just like, wow, people have been hanging out that long and support me that long. So I really appreciate it. PC Geek, dude, man, resub, tier 1, 6 months, 6-month streak, dude, and another one, thank you. Keep up the great work, Tim, love being part of the community. Yeah, man, dude, thank you so much. I appreciate it, PC Geek too, appreciate everything you do and your contributions here and in Discord too, for sure. Tough Toes, dude, thanks for the sub, appreciate it, prime sub, thank you so much, appreciate it, man. Thanks for the support. And then I'll go back a little bit, there were a couple follows, I think, right before the stream. Knopf, I'm gonna go with a hard K on that one. Knopf followed. Thanks, I appreciate it. And then Serb89, thanks for the follow, appreciate it. Welcome. How you doing? Let me know if the audio's okay. I'm seeing a bunch of weird stuff like peaking, and I hear a little bit, but let me know. Let me know if something's odd. You guys always do, so I appreciate it. But yeah, so yeah, what are you guys working on? I know I've been working on stuff kind of in the background. You saw it on one of my last streams. I've been working on my BOE powered Raspberry Pi. I got that up and going. It's running fantastic. I joined it to my Kubernetes cluster. It's actually running so solid. Like I was, you know, a little bit leery about doing it. I wasn't sure okay, how do I do multi-architecture builds? Do I need to worry about that? Do I need to specify anything like that? No, Docker's got you covered. Or I should just say the Docker, or a container, yeah, it's basically Dockers, but however you're containerizing stuff, Docker's got you covered for multi-architecture builds and storage and registry. So it's really awesome. So I run a ton of custom code on my own infrastructure, which is Kubernetes. And then I have some plain old Docker stuff too, some VM stuff. You guys know that. But also, most of my code is custom code, is Node.js or you name it. It's across the board. And I put that code inside of containers. And so I had to figure out how to do multi-architecture builds and then store them in my Docker registry, my container registry, so that my both my x86 nodes and now my ARM 64 nodes can pull down the right image. And I finally figured it out. So I rewired all of my CI pipelines for 12 repos. And now I have multi-arch builds across all repos. It's super awesome. Sorry, I'm blabbing about this because I'm super excited about it. The cool thing is once you get that set up, you don't have to do anything. You don't have to do anything else. So if image maintainer does multi-architecture builds, which most public ones do, because why wouldn't they? Because Raspberry Pi, because x86, because name your processor type. They're storing those also as multi-architecture builds. And so if you get a Pi and, reference an image in Docker Hub, most likely it's going to grab the right architecture. And this has probably been happening without you even knowing it. So thanks to all the, package maintainers, container maintainers out there that are doing multi-architecture builds, because, when you pull Node.js, when you pull, you name it, name your container or your image, Heimdall, those are all built with multi-architecture in mind. And so when you reference it, Linux server / Heimdall, it knows, hey, I'm an ARM device, I'm going to grab the ARM image, or I'm an x86 image, I'm going to go grab the x86 image or x64, whatever. Just not ARM, right? And then, so yeah, it's been super awesome. Funny thing is, I left it plugged in overnight, joined it to my Kubernetes cluster, and I was like, yeah, it's cool. I'll look at it tomorrow. Well, Kubernetes being Kubernetes did the Kubernetes thing. And one of my pods had an error, so it restarted, and it got rescheduled on my Raspberry Pi. And it was running on my Raspberry Pi for over 24 hours. Like, I had no idea. But it was just being Kubernetes. It was doing exactly what it should. And so my blog was actually being hosted out of my Raspberry Pi for about 24 hours. And even right now, it's running one of my bots. I'm just like, oh, who cares? Like, that's what it should be doing. So doing a little stress testing ahead of time. But real quick, Geo Callan, thanks for the follow, appreciate it. John Wick, thanks for the follow, appreciate it. Hospilita, Blitti, I'm going with Blitti. Thanks for the follow, appreciate it, welcome. So anyways, I blabbed a ton, but I've just been super interested in diving in and learning all the nuances around, like adding a Raspberry Pi to an existing Kubernetes cluster. It's really cool. So yeah, multi-architecture Kubernetes cluster running at home now. Who would have thunk it? Mad Dog Money, thanks for the follow, appreciate it. So who is first? The question that everyone wants to know. I think we know who's first because this is top of the list. Quinn, you're first, dude. Thanks. How's it going, man? How you doing? Let's see. M's the bomb. Hey, how's it going? Woo, stream. How you doing? Yeah, Home Lab new stream hype, dude. Thanks again for the renewed sub. Appreciate it, man. Thank you. M's the bomb. Hope you had a good birthday. Yeah, I talked about it a little bit. I saw that as I was getting started. I saw that as I was getting started. Yeah, it was super good. Pretty chill, but I like chill birthdays. I like to just kind of chill, do my own thing, do something I wouldn't normally do. So even if that's housework and DIY projects, it's still something out of the ordinary to kind of mix it up. Takano, how's it going, man? Good to see you, dude. Homeland New got you up on the Apple TV now. Nice, dude. Nice. Sweet, dude. Do I fit on your TV? I saw one of your photos in Discord. Looked pretty awesome. Besides that guy that was on the screen, everything else looked pretty good. Silverback Swift, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. How you doing? PC Geek, yeah, again, thanks for the continued support, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, happy birthday. Yeah. It was my birthday week, I guess. It's still kind of that. Takano, you're on the projector now. Oh my gosh, it keeps getting bigger and bigger, dude. Hey, dude, thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Man, all the happy birthday. I should have went live on my birthday, because then I could be like, it's my birthday. And no, but I appreciate it. Dude, wow. Your boy Noisy Pog. Dude, thanks for the Prime sub. Appreciate it. Oddwest, resub, tier 1, 2 months. Dude, thank you both. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Happy birthday, Tim. Congrats on making GitHub sponsor too. Yeah, that was kind of a surprise. I filled out my details and, referenced a few things and some open source projects I worked on and got accepted. So that was pretty cool. I understand what the program is, but just not how it's going to fit in. But I thought it was cool. I don't know if they just let everyone in, but I'm proud of it. Even if it's a participation award, I'm still happy that it happened, because I'm sure they say no to some folks, but I don't know what the bar is. If they look at some of my code, they might be, we might let this guy in. He does a lot of JavaScript. I don't know about this guy. Snell, happy birthday. Thank you. Takano, cake for everyone. All right, man. M's the bomb. Trying to modify an add-on for a game to bug my friend. Nice. What add-on? What game? I used to do some add-on modification stuff. just for fun, especially World of Warcraft and a few other games. I used to modify add-ons all the time. It was super fun. Mafney, boo. I don't know what boo's for. Hopefully you're doing good, Mafney. Takano, waiting on a replacement belt for the carpet cleaner. Got through fourth of the living room before it snapped, and have a visit showing. Have a visit showing up next week. Nice, man. Dude, yeah. Belts on carpet cleaners and vacuums suck. I remember that. Well, I haven't had one snap, and I have no idea how long. We have a Dyson vacuum now. It uses a different mechanism. I'm sure there's a belt in there somewhere. But man, dude, that was the worst, man, when I was younger and the vacuum belt would break. You'd just smell that rubber, and all of a sudden, or you'd hear the high-pitched whine and the engine just, going to 1,000,000 RPMs. Tough Toes, hey man, hey, how's it going? Good to see you. Snell, working on Raspberry Pi Pico micropad. Nice. I don't know what the micropad is. Tell me more about that. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I have 4 Raspberry Pis. I don't have I don't know what the Pi Pico pad is. Pi Pico macro pad. Sorry, I got that all mixed up. Yeah, let me know. Tough Toes, found your channel recently because you talked about a project that I used to work on called Code Server. Love your content. Hey, thanks. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Code Server. Yeah, it's super nice. That's awesome. You used to work on it. Awesome. You used to contribute to that. Sweet. Yeah, I think it's fantastic. I found it. I use it. It's great. It's great for those one-off things where I need to, do something from my phone or my iPad. I need to commit some code and check it in and tag it and release it. And it's super nice. It's super nice for sure. Yeah. A lot of fans in the channel of Code Server. A lot of fans, even for people who aren't software developers. I mean, you could say the same thing about any editor. You know what I mean? It just doesn't have to be code. But what is code? It's just obfuscated stuff usually, or abstractions over things, and that could be config, that could be markdown, that could be programming languages. So, yeah, a lot of fans, a lot of people use it. Herman VC, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. Quinn, a friend of mine can only expose services to the world over IPv6, so I made it Nginx reverse proxy for his stuff a while back. He has a weird small ISP. Interesting. Yeah, interesting. So they must be bleeding edge then. I mean, to only do IPv6, yeah, super interesting. That's awesome. So you made a Nginx reverse proxy so we could serve some stuff out. Probably some web traffic if it's a reverse proxy to do HTTP, HTTPS. Yeah, super awesome, man. Nice. Mafney definitely would go out in the negative 10 degrees Celsius. I don't know what that is in Fahrenheit. I should know. I kind of know the 18s-ish. I know that from being in Toronto for a little while in Canada. But other than that, I'm terrible at the conversion. I know they meet up. Somewhere in like the negative 20, 30 range. But besides that, I mean, and obviously freezing and boiling, those are easy. But yeah. Takano, super nice outside in Arizona. Nice. We also took the chance and spread some grass seeds and cleared out our backyard. Yeah, I always get that itch in March, and that's risky here in Minnesota to put down grass seed in March. Because sometimes we get snow on May 1st, and I think the last couple of years, the last 5 years, it probably snowed on May 1st like 4 of the 5 times, and it's unusual to snow that late, and it doesn't stick, but it has. Tough Toes, those lights are looking fresh right now. Nice, thank you. Yeah, I put a ton of time into them. I programmed them. They're running tons of code. Runs lots of code that I wrote. And as I always say, my code is mediocre, pretty mediocre. But yeah, the code is wired up to this channel. It's wired up to another thing that I built that sends out infrared commands to change some of the lights, and then it uses the Hue API to change the other lights. And so it's wired up to the Hue API too. I use Philips Hue. Yeah, and you're welcome to change it. So if you get, I think it's 1,000 points, need to work on the other channel points offerings, but get 1,000 points to change it. It's up to you. Tough Toes, I need help with PFSense. Yeah, what's the problem? Takano, I need help with the new carpet cleaner. This thing eats belts like there's no tomorrow. Yeah, that's interesting. Like I said, yeah, something's definitely wrong with the motor or something. I don't know. Ems the Bomb, audio sounds good to me. Nice. Thank you. Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, all right. This is, one of my faves. This one I need to work on. But anyways, yeah, thank you for earning the points and thanks for changing them. Spending them. My dogs go a little bit crazy. So if you hear them in the background, that's what's going on. Tagano, thinking of getting a Bissell Pet V2, very similar to the Bissell Pet Pro X2. Yeah, I have so speaking of carpet cleaners and speaking of dogs, dogs have accidents sometimes. I have something like that. It's the it's Spotbot. Maybe it's Spotbot by Bissell. I don't know. It's fantastic. Whenever the dogs have an accident, you just set it down. You don't. It's not a whole entire carpet cleaner. It's just this thing you set down on a spot where a dog had or a cat or any animal or any stain. Really, they market it, for pets, but it can be used for anything. They market it for pets because they know the markup on those types of things. Pets, baby. People go crazy on that stuff, and weddings. Anyways, but yeah, you just put the thing on, you hit a button, and 5 minutes later, spot's gone and totally done. But yeah, it's pretty sweet. Home Lab Noob, been finalizing my move to the new place here in the UK. Now I've got crazy coursework and I need to finish up for university. This is the final stretch though for my master's degree, and then I'm done. Nice, dude. I remember when you were talking about just starting your coursework. That was a while ago. Dude, that is awesome, man. So final stretch. You got it, man. You got this. Tough Toes, Docker is the shiznit. Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I think so. Just taking the product away from the technology, containerization, I think is awesome. It's awesome. It changed the way I think about everything. Changed the way I develop software. Changed the way I host applications. It changed the way I build and deploy my applications. I totally agree. I did a ton of plain old Docker stuff this morning, and I was just like, this is so awesome. I managing configs is way easier than managing whole entire operating systems with VMs. I totally agree. I mean, there's a time and a place for everything. And there is with Kubernetes, there's a time and a place to containerize. There's a time and a place to, add, orchestration, I guess I should say. And then there's a time and a place to just, virtualize, and time and a place to go bare metal. But I totally agree. Containerizing stuff just made my life so much easier. I mean, yes, I had to learn a new tech, but at the same time, it simplified so many things for me. Kubernetes, on the other hand, that didn't simplify stuff. It did simplify, making sure my services are available more often, and some of my deployment stuff, but the architecture stuff and planning that out and figuring it out, not easy, but a valuable skill to learn. Haas, Beliti. I'm going with the Haas, Beliti. That's what I'm going. Hi, Tim. Appreciate your content. Happy birthday. Thank you. I was following your rancher setup on the tutorial on Minikube. Everything went perfect, except I got a error, certain valid error, when navigating to the host name after the install. Chrome will not serve the content. Have you had other similars with setting this up? Or do you think the idea, or do you have an idea what to look for? I think it has to do with Cert Manager, but I'm not sure where to look. Yeah, I totally agree. So Cert Manager is what generates self-signed certificates in general. It can do all kinds of certificate management, hence the name Cert Manager. But Rancher does use it, and it's the one that generates the self-signed certificates for you, and then it adds them to, exposes them on the ingress. So when if you need to come into the cluster and get to Rancher, that's the certificate it uses. I have noticed, so in general, if you're using a Mac on a Chrome is way more stringent about self-signed certificates. And I noticed they've been taking this approach lately. I'm sure it's an Apple thing, and they're enforcing something, and Chrome is respecting it. And so self-signed certificates now, even if they're your own, are starting to get, you're starting to get the cert invalid error, which you don't see on Windows or Linux. And I assume, and that's just with Chrome. So I assume this is coming to other operating systems too. And it's just a flag within Chrome to say, hey, don't lock it down that much. it's funny because we've gone from, hey, HTTP is just blocked, if you try to go, or mixed mode, I should say. Some things are over HTTP, some things are over HTTPS. All the HTTP stuff gets blocked. And now they're taking it a step further to say, hey, self-signed certificates now, the browser's going to start balking at and blocking some content. So anyways, I might be going down the rabbit hole, but I would, I would check a different browser. See if a different browser is okay with it, especially Firefox. They're pretty good about stuff. They'll let you add an exception to that website to then view the content. But if you've tried multiple browsers and that's not the case, you can try reinstalling Cert Manager. You can try deleting that certificate and then run the Cert Manager piece, I think, again with Helm. I think you're doing it, so I don't know which Rancher setup. I assume if you're doing it on Minikube, maybe you're doing it with the Docker install, or maybe not. If you're doing it with the Docker install, you could totally wipe it out and do it again, run it again. But if you're not and you're doing it with the Helm install of Rancher, as I do on K3S, you could run the Helm install command again for Cert Manager, but just instead of Helm install, run Helm upgrade, and that will version the installation and try to basically reinstall it. It's a quick and easy tip on how to reinstall something with Helm, is you just say upgrade instead of install, and it will version the one of the attributes on there and try to reinstall it. I hope that helps. I hope that helps. That was a lot. But just, a lot of asides about browsers, but they are changing. They are changing, absolutely. I've noticed them in Mac all day long. I'm like, oh yeah, self-signed certificate on a Mac and Chrome. It's not the same as Windows. But it's fine. It's a good thing. Rock Lobster, learning about configs and .dot files. Nice. .envs, I assume. I want to be able to have a setup method where I can have a consistent environment at home and at work. Work in a Microsoft shop, so looking for PowerShell and Chocolatey. Any ideas to sync configs? Ooh, that's tough. That's tough. Oh yeah, off the top of my head, I mean, if you're working at a Microsoft shop, and I mean that doesn't really matter. I mean, you have some tools, with OneDrive and stuff like that. I don't know if that's the best solution. Usually with configs in general. So I'll say this. So when I develop software, there's this thing called a .env, and it's basically your environment variables. And I keep them locally on my own machine, and I can change them and point them and do configurations for different environments. I promise I'll circle back here in a second. And so the way that I usually build my software is so that the environment maintains those variables rather than me maintain those variables. And so it's super simple to do with Docker. You just inject those variables during your build time, and then that container has all of those variables it needs, or which is probably even better, the machine that it runs on has the variables, so when it stands up, it's like, hey, where am I? Where are my endpoints? And the environment will tell them where the endpoints are based on where they're getting stood up. But you're probably just talking about plain old configs, right? Like your SSH keys and your your bash config and your ZSH configs, all the configs that are inside your profile. But if you're at a Microsoft shop, you might not have those. They'll be in your user profile somewhere. Or if WSL, it'll be in the same place it is anywhere in Linux. To sync those, I don't have a great option, to be honest. I keep some of my configs. So the way I do it is I manage those configs like secrets, like any password. So if you think of any password manager you could use, you could either attach files or you could attach, create secure notes if you're using whatever, where you can put that information in there. And so I don't automatically sync that information everywhere. When I set up a new environment, I'm intentional about it, and I reproduce those files. There's probably a lot better ways, but it's rare that I need to reproduce files. It doesn't help with syncing, so my solution isn't going to help if you change stuff. For me, that's a manual process. If I add more stuff to my ZSH config or environment variables in there, I'm going to have to do it everywhere. But at the same time, each of my environments aren't exactly the same. My work environment isn't the same as my home environment. I don't want API tokens like that I use for work in my home stuff and vice versa. So that's a lot about syncing configs. And so, I have a base amount of configs that are the same and then some that aren't. Normal git config stuff, mostly the same. Well, I take that back because at work I use a different SSH key and I use a different git config. But most of my vanilla bash and ZSH stuff is. But then again, I have environment variables in there too. So, that one's tough. If anyone has a better idea, yeah, let me know. There are ways to do it. You could do it as simple as a GitHub repo and pull them down too, right? But do you want to keep that stuff somewhere else? Yeah, maybe not. Oh gosh, I got to get your name right. Hasblighty. That's what I'm going with. Hasblighty. And another question. I'm looking into ZFS for Proxmox. Do you recommend running FreeNAS in Proxmox VM or just use it bare metal? What are your considerations? Yeah, a lot of people ask me this. I think because that's how they find me sometimes. Because they just Google can you virtualize FreeNAS with Proxmox or just virtualize FreeNAS? And I think one of my videos comes up where I do. So yeah, spoiler, yeah. My choice right now is to virtualize TrueNAS. And that's that's a decision I made about 1.5 years, maybe 2 years ago, and I've been doing it ever since. And it's been super flawless, zero problems with it whatsoever. I will say though that you have a little bit of planning to do if you're going to do it. Obviously you're not going to virtualize your hard drives. Everything that you do with FreeNAS needs direct access to those disks, whether it be direct access to individual disks or a controller like an HBA controller. But it needs to be able to, you have to give it direct access to those disks so that you can so it can configure ZFS without any abstractions or virtual hardware in between. And so if you're willing to do that, it's a great choice. The reason I did it is because I wanted this disk shelf. So I have this big disk shelf, this NetApp disk shelf, and relatively cheap. It can hold up to 24 disks. But it's really dumb. It's just a controller that takes some kind of adapter I plug into it. I don't know, 80888 plus or some number. I should know this, but I look at it maybe once every 4 months. And the reason why I did that is because I wanted an HBA controller that I could plug into there. And at the time, I only had one big server, and I was like, well, I'll just pass through the HBA controller to this virtual machine, and then that virtual machine has direct access to the whole entire disk array, and everything's good. And I did that a long time ago, and I've been doing it ever since, and it's worked out fantastic. So if you can, I would. The other kind of, I guess, side benefit of doing that was that then, my TrueNAS network was virtualized too. And so all of my virtual machines have a 10 gig NIC on it, and so they're all connected to a virtual, switch, which has up to 10 gig networking. And so, I kind of have virtual, 10 gig networking for all my virtual machines. Not that I ever need it. But then going outside, I don't have 10 gigs. So that's another consideration too. If you're gonna virtualize it and you do need 10 gig, you'll have to do some mapping or some figuring out there. But if your Proxmox host has 10 gig, you just connect it to that same switch, and then it can get in and out to physical machines with 10 gig as well. Kind of up to you. I've had zero problems, I'll tell you that. Would I ever go to bare metal? Sure, maybe one day. And the thing that would make me move to bare metal is if I got rid of my disk shelf. Am I going to get rid of it anytime soon? No. Have I considered it? Sure. Only because, my storage needs have already changed in the last year. And I, instead of going with, 24 drives, I might end up with 12. I might end up with 6. And so as that changes, I'll reconsider my options. But it will definitely shake up my infrastructure if I do that. And then I will say, like anything you virtualize, one of the cons there as well is that if you shut down the hypervisor host, you're also going to shut down all your virtual machines. It sounds obvious, right? But some people don't consider that when they virtualize their pfSense or they virtualize their TrueNAS. It's like, okay, I just rebooted my Proxmox host or my hypervisor host, and now all my guests are down. And so if your network is okay with that while it's rebooting, then you should be okay with that too. Hope that helps. That was a ton. Sorry I'm spending so much time on some of these topics, but good questions. Tough Toes, I had a hard time with Apple Silicon version of Node a couple of weeks ago. Homebrew will roll a version for the new M1 chips, but the VA engine was causing it to crash on new Macs. It was a pain in the butt. Yeah, I've seen a lot of updates coming out recently where people are finally supporting, the Silicon Mac, so the M1 chip, and not emulating x86. VS Code, their release, they just released the other day. Told you that in a big screen as soon as you launched it and updated. Said, hey, we now support native M1 code base for VS Code, which is cool. I'm super excited that everyone else is being the beta tester for me. I still have a MacBook Pro from 2019. It's still great. Obviously not M1. And so this fall, I think they're going to release the M1 Pros, 16-inch, 15-inch. It's still on the fence. Mac Rumor says there's going to be 2. Who knows? So thanks for beta testing for me, Tough Toes. I appreciate it. No, I know. It's just how it goes. Digital Fendi. Hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. Snell. I'm going with Snell. Chrome always tries HTTP. Yeah, there you go. Let's see. That's a thread. Home Lab New. You fit just fine. Oh, that's to there. Twists. Yeah, for sure. Twists. I'm sure there was lots of twists in there. I like to set you up for them, PC Geek. I like to set you up for them. They're good. I'll just do a little wink. Tough Toes. Twitch is giving me ads with a sub. Thanks to Jeff Bezos. LOL. Yeah, they shouldn't be. At least for my channel, I don't think they should. Dude, thank you. Ilude. Dude, thank you. Resub. Tier 1. 6 months. 6 month streak. Dude, thank you, man. How you doing? Hopefully everything's going okay with you. Man, my lights are going crazy. It's a good day. When those lights flash, that means my code is working. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. But going back to you, Tough Toes. Yeah, if you sub on Twitch, I have it turned off. I wish I could turn off ads for everyone because, 1, it's annoying. And 2, it just doesn't even make any kind of financial sense ever, make 3 cents and annoy everyone that joins my channel. No, thanks. I wish I could turn them off. I can't. I could turn them off for subs and they're off for subs. I can't turn them off for non-subs. I wish I could. But then, Amazon would be, I'm sure they're doing fine, but, Twitch as a whole would probably, they'd lose some money. M's the Bomb. Add-ons for WoW Classic. All right, yeah. My add-on is called Comics, modifying to record how many times I type slap people and how many times I've been slapped. I like it. Also adding it so it will show how many times I've slapped one specific person. I like it. This is fun. Yeah, that sounds awesome, M's the Bomb. I'm a huge fan of like the intersection of coding, gaming, hosting, all of that. I love it. So that sounds awesome. I used to slap people a lot too, especially when I played WoW, when they wouldn't pay attention. I would just slap them a million times. And so as soon as they come back, they would see their chat log full of slap commands. Mapney, what is code? Philosophy tip? Yeah, I did kind of go on a philosophy piece down there because a lot of people do consider code just programming languages, and I think we all know that it can mean anything. It's just it's just obfuscation or yeah. I said it better earlier. I won't try to rehash that or regurgitate that because I said it better earlier, but I totally agree. Easton, how's it going? It's weird not seeing you with the hat. Yeah, no, today's a no hat day. I took a shower a little bit ago and I was like, my hair was kind of curling just okay. So I was like, no, gonna rock no hat for a while. I got to throw off the algorithm too. I know I look way different without a hat, and I realize that when I go back and watch videos, I'm like, whoa, should have wore the hat. Every time I look at a video of me without the hat, I'm like, should have wore a hat. Look, what was I thinking? But gonna go for it. PC Geek, 0 is 30 degrees. Yeah, for sure. Yep. Around 14. All right. 14 Fahrenheit. All right. That's about what it is today where I'm at. Yeah, we've been getting unseasonably warm weather here in Minnesota. It's pretty awesome. When I tell people, yeah, it's 50 today, and people in Chicago are like, it's only 40 here, and people on the East Coast are like, it's 38. I'm like, oh yeah. Even people in Wisconsin are like, yeah, it's 40 here. I'm like, yeah, we're in some warm pocket right now in Minnesota and loving it, because we can rarely say, we're warmer than anywhere else in the United States. There have been a few times where it's been more humid here than Florida, which is odd. It's odd. It gets kind of swampy here. You wouldn't think. I mean, with all the water, yeah, you would kind of think. But it gets really hot here in the summer. And I'm not just talking about like Minnesota hot. Like it'll get really hot and really humid here too. So yeah, PC Geek, Takano. It's a design flaw of this machine. Oh, going back to the belts. When it stands up straight, the motor does not stop spinning. It just holds the belt. So it stretches over time. Yeah, that totally sounds like a design flaw for sure. This machine is a Hoover. FH 51,000. Oh man, talk about a product model or a model number there. Number one complaint of the machine. I have a wind tunnel light, I think. Oh, nice. Just eats the belts. Yeah, it kind of sucks. Sometimes get clogged up quite often. Belt eaters. I had a Dirt Devil once that did that. Yeah, ours were all, I don't remember what ours were. My mom bought older vacuums because she thought they were way better. And they were like these huge old Hoovers that were like still like stainless steel and stuff. And I mean, everyone else had the really light ones. No, we had ones that basically looked like a carpet cleaner, but they were a vacuum. I don't know why my mom always bought like these old ones, but she did. I've only used it twice. Nice. Here we go. Zilton. I'm going with Daniil. There we go. Do you earn money from all the enterprise stuff you own, metal services, or is it for personal grow enterprise? Yeah, good question. Do I earn money from all the enterprise stuff you own? Yeah, good question. A lot of people, this comes up every now and then. I wouldn't say a lot, but it's a common question. Like, how would you monetize anything in your home lab? Yeah, it's a great question. Maybe I'll have some answers for that here in a little bit. But do I monetize some stuff in my home lab? Yeah, absolutely I do. Does everything in there? No, absolutely not. I think 95% of things don't make a penny, nor are they exposed publicly. But there are some things that do, and there's a lot of simple ways you can, but all of it boils down to is you have to build an audience first. Like things that you host, you have to build something, that scales with people, or that has a mass, I guess I should say. So like one real simple one, put ads on your blog. Yeah, that's great. But you got to get people to come to your blog. So there's a lot of stuff you have to do to get people to come to your blog, write good content, good SEO, like all the things that come along with good websites. So, but yeah, going back to your original question, a majority of it is, I'd say for learning, for sure. I'd say that's most of what I do. I mean, a lot of it runs things in my home, like you were seeing, all these lights, even my Raspberry Pi back there. It's all code I wrote. It's all personal growth, I think, for the most part, outside of a few things I make a couple dollars on. And even those things were just kind of exploring code, exploring different things, and putting them into my infrastructure. And so I think a lot of it has stemmed from me being a software developer. I mean, and a lot of people don't know that. I mean, a lot of you here on the channel do. Let me grab a drink. But I'm a software developer, and I happen to love infrastructure. I happen to love DevOps. I happen to love automation. And I think that's because I started out, in infrastructure and automation. And so, yeah, that drives a lot of what I do. And so it's been this evolution, like, hey, I have a blog, I want to host a blog. How do I host a blog? Okay, we'll run on Ubuntu server. Sweet, and now I have my blog and WordPress running with MySQL. Cool. And then it's been an evolution after that. Okay, after virtual machines, it turned into Docker containers. And after Docker containers, it was like, okay, well, I have, Kubernetes. I mean, maybe my blog's not the best example, but, I have code that I want to host. I'll host in a Docker container. Then I want to orchestrate that code through the development lifecycle. So I want to basically git, commit, push, tag, have CI build it and deploy it to my own Kubernetes. We were using Kubernetes at work, and I'm like, dude, I can do this at home, maybe. Let me figure it out. And so it's always been an evolution. So I would say, a majority of it has been for personal growth. But there are some things I make some money off of, and it's not much, but it's enough to pay 2% of the electric bill, but at the same time, it's fun. It's fun. Like being a software developer, at least for me, there's this gratification you get when people use your software, and so I feed off that. Like I feed off that. I love it. Like I would love to build software that like millions of people to use. And it's not just used because they have to, but used because they enjoy it. And so I enjoy that. Do I need 1 million users? No. Would I be happy with 100 on something I use? Sure. Like that's a pretty, dedicated audience that you could have. And so, I have a lot of things like that. They're just, either personal projects, exploratory projects, other services that run on Twitch. And so it's super fun to learn, and then learning about, uptime and load balancing and how do you keep services running during maintenance? How can you shift them somewhere else if something goes wrong? That's kind of where Kubernetes started coming in. And a whole bunch of other things too. How do I pass through a GPU? Because I had to do some GPU encoding, 24/7. So, all of the things that you see in my videos are my projects. And, some of those projects are for fun. Some are to learn, some are to explore. And, obviously some, I might make a couple dollars off of, but it's all infrastructure that I'm super interested in. But yeah, sorry, I went off on a tangent on that, but yeah, good question. Did one in the living room and the belt loosened in that time. Man, you have some bad luck with vacuums, man. It might be new vacuum time. Tough Toes, I use Pi-hole as a recursive DNS with Unbound installed. Nice, yeah. As a result, I'm completely disabled Unbound on pfSense because I don't need it at the moment. Nice. My issue is that the firewall logs seem to show a lot of blocked traffic from the LAN interface for what appears to be multicast traffic, port 5355. I'm not sure if it's something that needs to be explicitly allowed through the firewall or not. Any thoughts? No, I haven't used Unbound, but I thought that was Unbound's way of doing it, is basically remapping those 53 requests to a fit to the port you're seeing, 5355. I don't, and I don't use Unbound. Maybe I should, Tough Toes, but I don't know off the top of my head. Funny story, my neighbor is doing this same exact thing, and I had no idea he did any of this type of stuff until he saw my YouTube channel. He's like, dude, I do the same thing, and I'm running Pi-hole Unbound. He actually runs his somewhere else, but anyways, and WireGuard. I was like, dude, yeah, we're homies now. Anyways, but I haven't done anything with Unbound. I know that Craft Computing has one where he kind of talks through it. I haven't gone down that path yet because the way that I have my DNS set up, I can't explain it. Though, Tough Toes, absolutely, if you ping me in Discord, we can try to get to the bottom of it too, for sure. Tough Toes, I should also mention that the PTR queries for blank are marked as server fail in the Pi-hole logs. Yeah, dude, we should... I'm sure, if you're having this problem and you're familiar with it, I'm sure you're not the only one. But again, I haven't done anything with Unbound yet. I would like to at some point. I need to understand more how it fits in. I would love to intercept all DNS requests so that no sneaky, clients can circumvent my DNS. And I think that's what Unbound will help with, if I'm not mistaken. I would love to do that because, some clients have DNS hard coded in. They don't care what DNS you hand them because they're going to go straight to Google or whatever else. And I think this is what it's going to help with. Lord Satoru. Lord Satoru. I always want to put a Japanese spin on it. I don't know why. Hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. Has Blitty. Thanks. I installed Rancher with Helm charts. I will try reinstalling Cert Manager again. Yeah, and so Cert Manager. So if you're doing it on Minikube, I assume. That means you're most likely doing it on your local machine. Your local machine is probably beefy enough, but I noticed that the Cert Manager, when you install it with Helm, you have to wait. And you have to wait until it's done, fully installed, I think, before you do the Rancher piece. And so if you do one before the other, or you don't wait long enough, there's like this Rancher webhook that will fail. It might not be your problem. But I think I have some documentation somewhere in my GitHub repo about this setting up Rancher with K3S. Look at that GitHub repo. And in there, I kind of talk about how to check to make sure that, Cert Manager is fully ready and how Rancher is fully ready. Even though you're not using K3S, the idea is still the same. You're using Minikube and you're doing a Helm install probably of Rancher 2, which is exactly what you do on K3S. So there are a couple things you want to check to make sure. Ali, whoa. I got to get this. I'm going with Jacob. Oh man, that one's tough. Hello, how's it going? How you doing? T Genio 2K, currently installing a VMware 7 Windows Lab on top of Proxmox VE. Fun. Wow, yeah, that's interesting. So installing a VMware 7 Windows Lab on top of Proxmox VE. Super interesting. So you're either doing pass-through virtualization or you're just going to do software emulation on top of Proxmox VE, which might be kind of slow, but hey, I like this. I like what you're trying to do. How Weston? I'm so tired. Sorry. I'm like thinking that's tried. I'm so tired after this week. Elasticsearch and Kibana for legacy applications is so crazy. Digging in places abandoned years ago, but apps are still in production use now with logs. Yeah. I've done my fair share of Elastic and Kibana or Elk Stacks type stuff, and man, it's tough. It's needle and haystack type stuff, and unless people put a bunch of magic strings in or proper error codes, it's hard debugging stuff. So good luck. Yeah. Rock Lobster, thank you. Yeah, no problem. I'm gonna go with Prevailed. UDM Pro just came in a few days ago. My rack continues Tuesday. Stoked to set it all up. Yeah, man, sounds awesome. I know when I talk about anything unified, it's totally polarizing, but I'm going to talk about it. It's totally polarizing. People can go either way, and I get it. Like you root for your team, you root for your choices, and you boo the other choices, right? Like sports. But yeah, I totally agree. UDM Pro, while isn't, the best option out there, it's getting better. They just released their 1.9 firmware update, and I'm kind of blown away. Because they've had this app called Wi-Fi Man that does some Wi-Fi testing. It's in the app stores, and it's pretty cool. I mean, it's one of the best Wi-Fi testers I found out there on an app, on a native mobile app. But now they've tied it into UDM Pro or just the network controller, I guess I should say. And they actually log all of your Wi-Fi tests, and you can even do point-to-point, which is super awesome. Like I can open Wi-Fi Man on my iPhone and then open it on my iPad and do a point-to-point test to each other, and it'll log everything, jitter everything. It's so awesome, so awesome. It's getting better. Still, they're way behind other firewalls or network appliances in the logging space because they don't log anything obvious anywhere, which kind of drives me crazy. So I got to go down to the terminal. But yeah, awesome. Awesome you're getting a lab set up and making some changes with some new hardware. That's always super fun. Super fun. I miss that. I had that for about three months where I was just like new server, new network appliance, and I haven't had any new gear in a while. Well, kind of, sort of, but different. I'm going with Hun Monster. I don't know why I'm putting these spins on it. Hey there, how's it going? How are you? Mick Zuffin. Thanks for follow, appreciate it. Welcome. Linux tips. Hey, thanks for follow, appreciate it. Welcome. I didn't see that one earlier. Thank you. Hasplity. Have you noticed performance decrease of ZFS when using FreeNAS in a VM? I'd love to do it, but I'm a little scared to lose performance. No, zero. Zero. Only because you're passing those, the way you should do it is you're passing through those drives or controllers directly to the virtual machine. So they have direct access to that hardware. And, arguably people are going to say, wow, if you virtualize anything, you're going to get, 2 to 5% overhead for virtualization. Sure, maybe. But I don't see it in throughput. I don't see it in read-write, anything like that. And that's that's kind of hard to test anyway. And plus, I'll take the 2 to 5% hit in performance if there is one. For all the features I get of virtualization, snapshots, migrations, backups, shared hardware, you name it, and not another machine on. So Yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about it. I would err on the side of go for it until it doesn't work anymore. But that's me. That's me. I go with what where I want to be, and then I work backwards from there. And then, if it doesn't work, just gradually step back and try something else. But rather than go the other way. But, this is a big consideration. If you're spinning up TrueNAS, that means it's going to be your NAS, it's going to be your storage. And so, yeah, you're going to have you're putting a lot of your eggs in there. And so, and I get it. This is a big choice. But I would say go for it. I would say go for it. The other thing I didn't call out too, probably, Hasblati, is that, jails and plugins, that's totally going to be up to you whether or not you use that virtualized. I don't know how well it's going to work virtualized because I'm not very familiar with how they use them because I actually don't use them at all. Anyways, that's totally an aside. Raptor 1099, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. 1099 reminds me I got to do my taxes. Slide, how's it going? Mr. Connor D, hey Tim, how's it going? Wondering your thoughts on NFTs are, or just ETH contracts in general. Dude, I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not even gonna pretend like I understand what you're talking about. So what are your thoughts on NFTs are, or just ETH contracts in general? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not gonna pretend. Yeah, I have no opinion because I'm not sure what they are. I apologize. Hun Monster, I just set up my first home server today. Nice. You have been a big inspiration for this endeavor. Awesome. Glad I helped you get over that, get over the edge. Can you maybe recommend a must-have service for a home network? I'm planning to run a Unify controller in Pi-hole. Maybe anything else that's helpful. Yeah. Yeah, good question. So you hit on two of the biggest ones. One, if you're using Unify, yeah, you're gonna want to run your Unify network controller. I mean, arguably you don't have to run it 24/7. You can only spin it up when you need to configure stuff, but you want all the logs and metrics, so you're gonna put it in your server. Pi-hole, obviously, another one, very critical to my home network. I not only use it for public DNS resolutions, but I also use it for local DNS, and so I would. If you're taking on this endeavor, spend some time and create, local DNS entries and CNAMEs. Create those because you'll thank yourself later, when you can start to refer to your services and your servers by a DNS name. You'll thank yourself later when you have to change something because then you just need to change it in DNS and everyone's looking at DNS. So they're like, I don't care. What's the IP this time? It's the same it was last time, or hey, it's different, but it doesn't care. So you nailed probably my top two if you're doing Unify. My other one is, it's super simple. Heimdall is something that I use thousands a lot, 100 times a day, I'll say. And, it's nothing more complicated than just a simple dashboard. And dashboard's kind of, it's kind of stretching it a little bit, but really it's just an app launcher for all of your services. So as your services continue to grow, Heimdall's just a really nice looking homepage to add buttons that you can just click to get to your services. Some of those are enhanced. Some of them support API calls to where they can go and fetch data from those services and bring them back. Pi-hole is one. And so if you add the Pi-hole service to Heimdall and you get a button, it'll show % blocked and, whatever metrics it shows on there. I look at it every day. But that one's really fun. That's a fun one. Super easy one too. Once you get it up and going, you're like, yeah, this is great. And you start to add, a bunch of launchers basically. And some are enhanced. One other one, that I can't live without, personally. And this is one that a lot of people use, or they use an alternative, but Plex. For me, Plex is hands down one of the best services I have running in here. All my other code stuff and stuff, I could probably live without. But Plex, and you could pick Jellyfin or MB, whatever. But just a media server. And having a media server in your home has just been fantastic. And so I pair that media server with live TV. And that's why it's so critical to me, is because I record, my Plex media server is also my DVR. It records TV. More than movies, I don't even do music on it. Sure you can, and I did it once before, but I have Spotify or other music subscription services. probably start using it again sometime. But for me, like Plex, I really only use Plex for my DVR. Like I said, I have some movies, but a good majority, 75% of what I watch is just pre-recorded TV. Things that are on Nova or things that are on PBS. Nova, Nature, you name it. American Experience. I can list a lot of them all day. Yeah. But anyways, lots of them that I enjoy. And I know there's the PBS streaming app, but, they don't go back that far. And sometimes, over-the-air TV, they run reruns, and they're ones I've never seen. I record lots of stuff. So anyways, my wife and I enjoy it because that's what we like to watch. We get to pick exactly what we want to watch. And they have this new ComSkip plugin now turned on, which works, about 10% of the time, but it's nice when it does. Anyways, there are tons of things like that. So, Hoon Monster, tons of stuff like that. I don't mean to refer you to a video, but I have a video where I talk about 20 different services or 20 different things you can do with your home lab, and that's exactly what I was going after is like, because people ask me this all the time. They'll buy hardware and they'll be like, okay, what now? And that's what that video is kind of going after, just to kind of inspire you, spark some ideas, give you some ideas on what to do next. Because yeah, it's fun. It's super fun. It's super fun. And then when it doesn't work, you just burn it all down and spin it back up. Tough toes. Oh, no worries. I didn't mind ads. I'm just complaining. No, you're allowed to complain. You should complain loud about that to Twitch because they need to change something for sure. Takano, I just disassembled the belt and yup, there's a piece. It rubs right on. Yeah, not good. Easton, I'm doing okay. My wife and I are having to deal with kicking our roommate out. That's not good, but all's well that ends well. Or in the case, not well, but we'll take it for some peace. Yeah, that's tough. It's tough when you get a roommate or have a roommate that you don't really get along with. I've been pretty fortunate with growing up. Maybe it was my personality or their personality or just luck. I've always gotten along with all my roommates. In college, I always went with random people. Where there were no, I rarely ever lived with friends. I don't think I ever have, only because, they're my friends and I want to continue to be friends. College, it was just like randomizer. Give me, anywhere. People I kind of barely know so that, there's none of these, you have a lot of, I guess, I wouldn't say baggage, but you have a lot of, I don't know. You just know a lot about a person. That's your friend, that it's easier for some things to get on your nerves. But anyways, it stinks, but good luck. I'm glad you finally get some peace in your home, because having roommates is great until it's not anymore. Hope you're doing as well. Yeah, I am, dude. Thanks, man. Takano, on the belt, there's places where it has been sanded down from a design flaw. Yeah, man, that stinks. Tough toes, did you have a dev job before you became a content creator? I still do. A full-time software engineer. So yeah, this is my hobby. This is one of my many hobbies. Most of what you see in videos are my hobby. My videos then are documenting my hobby. But yeah, every day, still a software engineer, 100%. Full-time gig. Mafney, he is still, yeah, thank you. Ems the Bomb was wondering if you have any advice on how to get into some GitHub or other platforms. How to get into some GitHub or other platforms for projects, open source projects, to help code, to contribute, to build a portfolio. I love it because this is what I talk about all the time. I've been going through some available projects, but there are so many ones I find extremely overwhelming. I like it. I have no idea where to start. Okay, so Ems the Bomb, you hit the nail on the head. This is what I tell people to do a lot. To contribute to an open source project, especially if you want to get into software development or anything. If you want to get into anything, you should go and look to see if there's a project similar that you can contribute to, that you can point to show people in interviews or whatever to add to your portfolio. So you're already on the right track. So two things. First of all, you've already done it. I understand that contributing to a project can be overwhelming, can be totally overwhelming, especially if you're new to Git too. Are new to GitHub, and you just don't even know the basic Git commands. And maybe you do, but I would recommend building your own repo and trying this with yourself before trying it anywhere else. And maybe fork a project and do a couple of things on that project before you make pull requests. But most maintained repos, a lot of them, will have a tag called good first issue. So what is good first issue? Well, it's a good first issue. Yeah, it was not funny. But anyways, a lot of repos have this tag called good first issue. And what they're saying is, hey, this is something that the maintainers could probably do. But they either can't prioritize it or they want to give someone else the opportunity to contribute to this project. And so a good thing to look for in a lot of repos is look for that one called get good first issue. If you can't find that, you'll have to look, kind of cherry pick, maybe some easy ones. I will give you some hints on some really easy ones to get your foot in the door and get a couple commits in. Documentation, everyone's favorite thing, documentation. People either love or hate documentation. They hate that you didn't do documentation. They hate that you have too much. They hate that there's typos. They hate that, it doesn't exist. And so a lot of times, what I did in the early days was like before I knew Git commands and everything, I'm just like, well, I want to help, and I want some contributions under my belt, and I want to be able to say I, helped out in some way. I always look at documentation. I read documentation. I make pull requests on documentation. If I see a typo, I'm going to make it, I'm going to make a pull request. If I see even a new line where it doesn't need to be, or vice versa. I mean, that's kind of stretching it. But I do think that, documentation is a really good way. And some repos don't even have it. Some just have a plain old README and a couple of badges on there, and that's it. And so maybe you can help with some of that documentation. And through that documentation, you're actually going to learn. I mean, these are the kinds of things if you start to get into software development role, you'll end up doing yourself too. You'll join a company, you'll end up being a software developer, working on repos you've never heard of before. You have no idea what they do. Maybe in a code base you've never worked on, in a language you've never worked on, using patterns you've never heard of. So these are all the same things you're gonna encounter. And so it's not just a GitHub, issue or an experience. It's actually, this is the same thing you're gonna have happen over and over and over. It's happened to me many times in my life. I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. You have good days, and then other days you're just like, I have no idea what I'm doing. Like, you start to work on a new project or a new repo that you've never seen, and you gotta start from scratch. And so for those, I always, I try to write documentation. And so, and as you learn stuff, create documentation for it that could go for that repo. Another good way to learn about a repo too, or to not only contribute to software quality and to learn about the code base is write tests. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're like, oh, how am I going to write tests about this thing that I don't even understand? Well, a lot of the times I go to unit tests or integration tests or E2E tests, whatever the type of test is. I look at the test and learn about the code, because in those tests, you'll see, if they're unit tests, you'll see a very small unit of work. And that very small unit of work is usually like, assert that this is this, assert that this is true. And you can look at the method it's calling, you can look at the parameters that are passed in, and then you can see what gets returned, and you can start to understand the code. So that's another place I go after too, is tests. And what repo doesn't like tests? Anytime someone's like, pull request on a test, you're like, yeah, thank you. Or a pull request on TypeScript types, yeah, thank you. Those types of things people really, really, really enjoy as a maintainer, at least ones that I maintain. Love it. So anyways, I'm spending a ton of time on that, but I think it's a really good topic. I think you're there. Your head's in the right spot. I know it's overwhelming, but you just, you kind of got to dig in. So my number 2, I kind of hinted at it. If you don't want to contribute to another one, or you're a little bit intimidated, create your own. 100% create your own. Whatever you're getting into. You're getting into web development, run some kind of generator. Generate an API, write a CRUD API, CRUD, create, read, update, delete. It's what all REST APIs use. Build an API, do some stuff, return hello world, create some records in a database, put it on GitHub, make it public, don't keep secrets in there. And then contribute to it, make it better, modify it, and then you might find a domain for it, a domain where you could solve a problem. You're like, oh, I need an API for this thing. I'll just apply this to it and create it. So lots of things you can do there. I could talk about it all day because I love this stuff. But hopefully that helps. And most of the time, I mean, people, I believe that people are generally good. And so if you try to make a contribution to an open source project and it doesn't, I would just err on the side that people are generally going to appreciate it. Whether or not it gets merged is up to the maintainers. Whether or not it's right is up to them as well. But I think people generally appreciate it. I would. Someone opens a pull request in my code, I'm like, thank you. Like, that's the first thing I say. It's the first thing I say most of the time anyways. But I really genuinely mean it. So anyways, hope that helps. Letter 5. Hey, thanks for follow. Appreciate it. Leader 5. Thanks for follow. Appreciate it. PC Geek. I have Unbound on both my Pi-hole servers. All right. Yeah, man. Yeah. Pi-hole, PC Geek's on it. I was going to say Pi-hole Geek. He's everything geek, not just PC Geek. Don't let him fool you. He knows a ton. Tough Toes, no worries. Thank you for the response. Responding though, I appreciate it. Yeah, Tough Toes. So PC Geek, he's all over it. Yeah. I think Roku and Chromecast both use DOH. Yeah, and my Google Home stuff do too. They have Google DNS hard coded to them. How Weston, my DNS on Pi-hole is not working most of the time. I'm gonna try my solution from one of your videos. High available Pi-hole. Yeah, nice. Yeah. So I think you're talking about Gravity Sync. Yeah, it works fantastic. There are some other options out there too, but I've been using Gravity Sync now ever since I did that video. I set it up for Reels in that video, and it's been going ever since. It's great. I can reboot one whole side of my infrastructure now because I have 2 servers. Doesn't miss a beat. It's fantastic. I mean, maybe it misses a beat, but no one knows because it'll just make the request again. PC Geek, Unbound doesn't help with block clients from external DNS. Firewall does that. Unbound is used recursive DNS rather than forwarding to something like Cloudflare or Google for public DNS. You go straight to the authoritative server for the domain request is for. I like it. Thanks, dude. Dude, appreciate that. Because in my head, I haven't figured out where it fits in for me yet. Hasbliti. Installing Rancher before Helm Cert Manager. That might have been the problem. Thanks, Tim. Gonna look into it. Appreciate it a lot. Yeah, Hasbliti. I'm just speaking off the cuff, so I may have mixed up the order, but I do have some documentation. Look for it. It's installing Rancher on K3S. Ignore the K3S part. It's basically, that video is just basically in documentation. Installing Rancher with Helm. Pick your Kubernetes platform, whether it's Minikube, full Kubernetes, or whatever it is, microK8s, whatever. It's all the same. But look at there, and there's ways to check too, to verify. Penguin Airlines, how's it going, man? How you doing? Let's see, Raptor. Hey Tim, do you have a tutorial on how to set up MetaLB as an external LB on K3S HA Rancher? Raptor, yeah, good question. To be honest, I don't. I don't. But I have pretty good documentation on it, and I've even I answer your question. I don't have a video on it. I've considered doing it, but it's way down the rabbit hole. And as much as people now ask for it, I feel like I should, but it's pretty far down the rabbit hole. And I don't mind putting that together, but I want to make sure that that people are going to be genuinely interested and curious about it too. In the meantime, I do have some documentation in Discord, in our containerization channel. I even pinned it because the other day someone else asked for it, and I was like, well, yeah, I don't have the exact documentation, but here's the high-level steps, and here's how you do it. And there are lots of people in there, too, who have already done it and have followed my high-level steps and figured out the low-level stuff that they need to do and figured it out. So I encourage you to join. It's pinned. If you go into our containerization channel on there and click on the pins, you'll see one from me where I talk about it on the K3S repo, saying, hey, here's the problem I'm having. Here's how I figured it out. And that's that. But yeah, let me know. Let me know, Raptor. Hasbuti, do you use Minio with FreeNAS or as an LXC VM? Yeah, good question. So I use it on FreeNAS right now. I use it on FreeNAS, and so that was a choice that I consciously made. Will it always stay there? No. But in my head, I was thinking, okay, storage. Who handles my storage? Whose responsibility is for it? Is storage on my network? And for me, it's TrueNAS. And so TrueNAS handles NFS, SMB, iSCSI, and Minio too, MinIO. And so yeah, I put it there. You know, I had a hard time with certificates. I still have a hard time with certificates there and replacing them. So I have to put a reverse proxy, I think, in front of it, which is kind of, you know, what I'm going to end up doing with a lot of things anyways internally. So yeah, I put it there. Will it run in Docker or LXC? Absolutely. Yeah, 100% it will. I think you need to just decide, you know, where you want to house it and how can it connect to your storage. For me, it's really easy because, like, you know, like I said, I run TrueNAS, you know, and you could do something as simple as storage.yourdomain.com, you know, obviously internal. And then this handles all of your storage stuff, you know, depending on the protocol or depending on the port. So I put it there. I don't use it a ton. There's a couple things in Rancher that needs MinIO for backups, you know, Longhorn. And so, yeah, that's where I put it. It can go anywhere though. But if I weren't, so then to answer your question you didn't ask, if I wasn't doing it in FreeNAS or TrueNAS, would I containerize it? 100%. Yes, I would. Would I containerize anything? Most of the time, yeah. The answer is yeah. Takano, 500 watt PSU recommendations. Dude, I got a ton. I don't know. Corsair or something. I don't know. On my Kitco page, I have some stuff or gear down below. You can look at like one of my budget PCs and they're on there. You know, anyone, you know, that's, you know, gold rated. That's decent. Yeah. EVGA Corsair. Yeah. 100% agree. I've had a lot of luck with Corsair stuff. I think that's most of my power supplies have been Corsair. But EVGA, super good too. Funny thing about power supplies, it's one of the few things that you can tell their quality by the weight of them. You know, speakers too. Speakers and power supplies. If you pick them up and they're light, you're kind of like, yeah, I don't know how long this is going to last. But you pick them up and it's got some heft to them, you know, it's got to be good. Same with speakers too. I'm the same. Both of them I noticed over the years. You can tell which ones are good by the weight. Billy Quizboy, NFTs are non-fungible tokens. They're getting a lot of press right now. Oh yeah. Good call. Is this so this is this talking about how so I need to look into it more. So now I think I understand. Is this the paying or buying something digitally, and this is how you assert that you're the only owner of this thing is by this token? Maybe. Let me know. Non-fungible token is the Kings of Leon thing. But I think that's what you're talking about. It's basically, yeah. It's, I think I've seen it in the headlines, but let me know. I need to look more into it for sure. NFTs. Disk 1 of 5. I like it. What is this? Windows 3.1? That would be like disk 1 of 32. What are your thoughts on disk and magnetic media in general? Also, hi. Disk 1 of 5. I like it. I like the name and I like the question. It's you got this whole theme going. I think anyone who's been around me long enough or heard me talk is, magnetic media in general. I don't know. There's a use case for it. Almost every one of my drives in my home right now is solid state, except for my NAS or my storage array. That's just because I get super high density disks where, I can get 6 terabytes on one disk. If I could get that in SSD and it wasn't like $20,000, I totally would. So I'm not totally against, mechanical or magnetic, or mechanical drives, like nothing against them. I just, don't like the heat, don't like the extra power, don't like the noise, but I do like the density on them. So yeah, I mean, nothing against them. I've chosen smaller SSDs over larger mechanical drives many times, only because of those things I mentioned. Nothing against them. They're super cheap, but I don't want the heat, don't want the extra power, when you have lots of them. Other than that, I've had almost zero problems. I mean, yeah, that clicking noise you hear sometimes when they die, it sucks, but yeah. It's kind of a my general take on SSD versus mechanical. But yeah, your mileage may vary. I mean, in all of those cases, I chose it for a specific reason. But I only put my mass storage stuff or my slow to change stuff on mechanical drives, which are only in my disk array. Other than that, nope, SSD all the way. and like I said, I'll take smaller ones over larger ones. Most of the time when I had mechanical drives anyways, I'd have a 500 gig, I'd use the 40 of it. So I got to a point where I was just like, okay, well, I'm just going to buy smaller SSDs and deal with it that way. Yeah, anything gold ready. Yeah. Oh yeah, Thermaltake or Thermaltake. Antec, another good one. Yeah, EVGA, Corsair, Antec is the ones I've had too. Thermaltake, or is it Thermaltake? I don't know. I've had some of those before in the past too. Billy Quiz Boy, check out Dazzle if you haven't. I'll check out Dazzle. Hun Monster, looking into those. Yeah, thank you. Leader 5. Hi, I recently found your channel. I have 2 questions. One, you would recommend running Nextcloud on a VM or as a plugin on FreeNAS? Q2. Okay. I saw you using XG Firewall. I understand on a VM. How does that work with pfSense? It doesn't. So a couple things, Leader 5. Nextcloud depends on how you want to host it. So it depends on how you want to host it. I mean, if you want to run it on a plugin in FreeNAS and not a VM, it's totally fine. If you want to run it on a VM, totally fine. You want to run it on Docker, you want to run it in Kubernetes, totally fine. It's really going to be up to you and how you want to manage it. I mean, when it comes to that, there are no wrong answers in those group of answers because at the end of the day, you're going to end up supporting it. I will say that you are on the right track when you're saying a plugin with FreeNAS and me personally, I containerize those. But you're on the right track because when you go with a plugin or you go with a container or you go with someone else basically managing that infrastructure, you also buy into their model of networking and segregation of those apps and those services too, right? And so you don't have that liberty when you do it on a VM unless you start doing it yourself, right? And so, if you install it on a VM, not saying it's wrong, but if you install it on a VM, now you got to figure out ports or remapping ports or, multiple services on the same VM, not having or being able to expose the same ports. And it's not only there, it's dependencies too. Just think if you installed WordPress and Nextcloud on the same machine, and now all of a sudden, WordPress needs some newer version of some SQL client, but Nextcloud doesn't. It breaks when that happens. Now you have a dependency nightmare. And so that's another reason why I don't normally choose VMs for those types of things. Any kind of normal services, especially web traffic, 100% they're containerized for me. And so I'm not saying you have to choose a containerization, but a plugin model too, like on TrueNAS, yeah, absolutely, 100%. Only because of all of those things. And so is a VM wrong? No, at the end of the day, no, it's not either. Sometimes it's easier to manage. It's when you start to stack multiple services on that one VM where, its concerns are kind of blurry or it has multiple concerns where you can run into issues. Dependencies specifically and ports. Those are the 2 big things. Wisher, Daking. Greetings from Berlin. Hey, how's it going? Greetings from the United States. Hosblitty. Tim, the issue with the cert manager was that it didn't wait until it's configured. Thank you so much. You made me very happy. Yeah, no problem. I've done it too myself. And I think that was a late ad in my documentation. Wasn't in my video. Whoops, sorry. It was a late ad for me to say, you should probably wait until it's done because there's a Rancher webhook that is going to try to get or query for that certificate. And if cert manager isn't done and initialized, that webhook will fail, and then you're just like in some weird state, and Rancher's like, hey, I tried to get this cert to add it to my load balancer, and it's not working. Hey, Eloise Game Dev. Hey, dude. Whoa, big, wow, big raid, big host. 90 viewers. Are you kidding me? Jeez. Hey, how's it going? Everyone from Eloise Game Dev? Dude, hey, thank you so much for being here. How's it going today? Wow, did this really happen? I think it did. I see it there. I saw the notification. How's it going? How's everyone doing? I'm Tim. I talk about tech. People call me Techno Tim. Talk about a lot of tech, a lot of home tech, a lot of home lab type stuff. So if you like self-hosting, you like servers, you like computers, you like Raspberry Pis, you like software development, I kind of do all that stuff at home. So that's kind of what I do, and I try to help people out, help people make choices. A lot of people have questions about how to set stuff up, how to build home labs, how to build and self-host a lot of services, and yeah, that's what I like to do. So I appreciate it. Manny Frog, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. Let's see. Thank you. Map console log. Hello world. Yeah. Can't find the variable console. Thank you guys. Yeah, for sure. Let's see here. Raptor. Thanks, Tim. I'll take a look at the high level documents. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I have a lot of ideas in that one. Mickey Moosh. That's what I'm going with. Hey, any Nginx video in the pipelines? Maybe. What would you like to see about Nginx? Like I have a lot of videos where Nginx is in the video, but not one just specifically on Nginx. Because it's so versatile. It can be used for a lot of different things. We were talking about this in Discord last night. With Nginx, it can be a load balancer and do layer 4 load balancing, right? With TCP, UDP now, with a stream module, or it can do layer 7, right? Reverse proxy to do HTTP and HTTPS requests and WebSockets. So more at the application layer. So there are a lot of things. I use them for both right now with Nginx. And so, yeah, I'm curious what you would like to see. One specifically on Nginx, yeah, maybe not. I try to, maybe. I won't rule it out. But most of the time, most of my things are projects, and so they're kind of like beginning to end. What do I need to do? What am I trying to accomplish? If I need to do something specifically on Nginx, I absolutely will. But Mickey Moosh, let me know. Let me know what you would like to see, what questions you have. Maybe I can answer them now. Penguin Airlines, how's it going, man? I'm doing well, researching a Wi-Fi soil hygrometer to see if I can get soil health statistics into Grafana to alert me when to water. Nice, man. Dude, that sounds awesome. I have one of those meters that I used to plug into houseplants, and I could, I don't know, check their pH level and I think soil level. But that sounds awesome. Something that's more smart than that. It sounds awesome. Yeah. Cause I got lots of plants in here. That would be sweet. I need some of that smart, technology when it comes to my plants. They're everywhere. I have a calendar invite that just basically like water plants every 2 weeks cause I forget. PC Geek, big heavy speakers, bigger the magnet, the better, more powerful the sound. Yeah, that's what I've learned over the years. Speakers and power supplies, both. You can tell their value by their weight or their quality, I should say. Billy Quizboy, yes, you're right. NFTs are used for crypto, for digital artwork, and like to establish ownership provenance. Yeah, I saw that in the headlines about someone who paid, I don't know, $6,000 for some digital asset, and everyone thought it was crazy. And then they went around and turned it for, I don't know, sold it for 1,000 times more. I'm making this up because I don't remember the number, but astronomically more. And that was the tech behind it to verify or establish ownership of that digital asset. So yeah, super cool stuff. I don't know enough about it yet, but yeah, it sounds awesome. Bigsby, hey Tim, how's it going? Billy Quizboy, Elon's lady made some headlines selling a few million last week. Yeah, for sure. Wizard Daking, career question. Do you prefer working for a small company startup over big companies like US Bank, Target, etc.? Wow, these are all in my neighborhood. If so, what are your thoughts on this? Let me grab a drink. What is my preference? I will say I have worked for one of those companies on that list for a while. So, nothing against them. Fantastic company, doing great things in this world. But what's my preference? I think my preference is where I am now. And where am I now? A small startup. I worked for large companies, large enterprises, and a lot of different places. I've worked for medium companies. I've worked in different areas too. Healthcare, retail. You name it, and now in a different one altogether. And for me, most of the time, I've always, you could look at what I'm doing, and for me personally, I've been fortunate enough to be able to choose what I want to do, and where I wanted to work. Obviously, in the beginning, it wasn't that easy, but everywhere I've worked, I've wanted to work there, and I love working there. all of that aside, me right now working for a small startup, obviously my choice. And so I prefer it for now. And I actually prefer it. It's fantastic. I started working in this company when there were 3 people, and even a little bit before that. And now we're up to 13. And it's great. It's great. I love, it obviously helps if you know the people you're working with and you know them well. I love it. I get to wear a lot of hats. I get to learn about a lot of different things. There is, I would say, no red tape, and a lot of the things that you could think about larger enterprises, we just don't have. And that could be good or bad. That goes both ways, right? That goes both ways. Nantiv, thanks for the follow, appreciate it. So that goes both ways, I would love there are times when I work where I'm like, yeah, it would be nice if we had a whole department who did that, and those are the things you get with larger enterprises, and then sometimes you're like, I'm glad we don't have a whole department who does that, so it kind of goes both ways. But I prefer it for now. Just like, when I worked at large organizations, I love working there. I love working for large companies. There are so many opportunities at large companies, and large companies are able to do so many different things because they just have, a near, limitless, resources. It's not limitless, but when you think of big companies like ones you mentioned, it almost is. And so they're able to do a lot of good or a lot of bad, but mostly a lot of good with their resources, and have a lot of programs, a lot of opportunities, and help a lot of people out. And so, as a small company, we try to help out and do good things, at the same ratio as a big company. So I love it. I love it now. I love where I'm at. Zero complaints. I'd work here till I died if I could. But yeah, I love it. But one day, as small companies grows, they turn into bigger companies, and so they have to grow up too. And so, we've experienced that same kind of thing growing up into a smaller company, and and it's changing every day, every week, every month. It's changing, and it's super fun. It's super fun. But as a developer, a software engineer doing, working in a small startup, it's awesome. It's awesome. You can bring in all your ideas. You can bring in all the, cool things you found. You can try new things. Obviously, you can't just go, hog wild and just like redeploy everything to some other cloud, but you have a ton of influence. And so that's really fun. You get to make a mark on something and have a huge impact. And that's fun too. Anyways, yeah, good question. Billy Quiz Boy, I should have added earlier. Dozzle is a container that lets you view all your container logs in one place. Pretty cool. Yeah, I should totally check it out. Yeah, because, logging and visibility in general, on these, on any container or any system that you have is kind of hard, especially with containers. They're just containers are just spitting out logs into the void. Unless you go into that container's logs, you have no idea. And so, yeah, Dozzle sounds pretty cool. I have to look at it. For sure. Because Fluent, is kind of an aggregator for those types of things too, or could be used as one. So yeah, I'll have to look into it. Sounds awesome. Thank you so much. PC Geek, interesting. Yeah, sounds awesome to me. I have to see how it works. Like, is it? It's a container. So what happens if they're on multiple systems? Yeah, this is sounding more and more like a good logging system. And as long as it can handle that, if it's all containers in one place, it'll work for me, but not for the most part. Maybe it's a sidecar you run, but I don't know. I should look into it, is what I'm trying to say. Xantella, hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. Leader 5, thanks for the answer. Yeah, no problem. No problem at all. Dude, Eloise Game Dev, I can't believe 90. Jeez, thank you so much. Thank you. Fuzzy Purple Pixel, hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. Oh man. Oh, love it. How was your stream? If Eloise Game Dev, if you're still here, and what are you developing? I got to check it out for sure. Yeah. Oh, and these nice emotes. I love it. How's it going? Let's see. Fuzzy Purple Pixel. Wow, I think I saw this guy. He has some home servers. Yeah, I think you nailed it. I think you pretty much nailed it. Exactly. No, not printers. PC Geek, not printers. We won't get on that topic. Printers are a touchy topic here. I've learned through both social media and streaming and content creation. and just chat. If you mention printers or network speed, everyone feels compelled to tell you about their printer, and everyone feels compelled to tell you about their network speed too. I've learned that. Another thing I've learned too, and this is just life, is injuries too. Injuries the same way. Injuries fall into this class. If you ever have a broken arm, broken ankle, any kind of visible injury to where you're in a cast, people are like, oh yeah, that sucks. But you know what happened to me? I broke my leg too, and yada, yada, yada. And it's the same thing. So injuries, printers, and network speed tests are 3 things that everyone has something to say, and I love it. Vacuums or not. I guess vacuums can be too. Yeah, we do. Yeah, we like computers, Eloise. I do too, for sure. I do too. I've been this way my whole life. PC Geek, if you want to continue the fun after today's stream, yeah, join our Discord. Yeah, for sure. Thank you, dude. Appreciate it. Bits of Sin. Hey, Tim, I followed your video on GPU pass-through, but I'm still having error 43 issue. I'm using an HP ProLiant DL580 G7. Any ideas? So Bits of Sin 253. The error 43 issue is one of the, yeah, it's the most common one, and you're so close. You're so close to getting GPU pass-through working on your server. And you're so close. So what I will say is, if you followed that video, also open the document on it. So all of my videos always have GitHub documentation behind it. And in there, you'll actually find my config. You'll find aside comments, but you'll mostly find a lot of the things you want to copy and paste. All the copy pasta for most of my videos. In there is my exact config I use for all of my virtual machines. That works for me. And I will say, if you're following the video and doing it through the UI, there might be, a small checkbox in the advanced section that you overlooked because it's collapsed in the advanced section. But if you look at my config, you'll actually see that, something equals true. You'll see a flag being set there. So I'd encourage you to look at that doc. I'm happy to help. I know that my config works. Because when I just set up my new servers, I tried to do pass-through without my doc. I'm like, I got this. I've done this 5 times. No, I still had problems to where I actually went back to my config in my GitHub repo, and I realized, the PCI Express flag wasn't set to true. The one that's hidden under advanced and collapsed. And I cleaned up a couple other things. I had the wrong CPU type, or I had the wrong PC type, or host type. So I would encourage you to look at that, but obviously, love to help more in Discord too. All right, if you have no idea where I'm talking about, to get the documentation, I can point you to it in Discord too, for sure. Easton, I wish I knew more about this stuff and do more and lurk at conversations in the Discord. Yeah, no problem. I wish I knew more about a lot of stuff. Hey, we're all in the same boat about things we don't know about and things we're interested in. I don't know it all either. I've had a lot of experience with a lot of different things, and everything I know is kind of just I scratch the surface of a lot of things. But I'm it's the whole jack of all trades, master of none. That's kind of what I feel like with myself. So don't worry about it. But I'm glad you're here, man. That's a good sign if you if you're here to lurk, but don't know what we're talking about, but still interested. I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you, PC Geek. I totally agree. Home Lab New, Techno Tim, sort of an unusual question. Oh gosh, here we go, man. What's the most important thing you look for when considering accepting an offer from a tech company? Ooh, that one's tough. Huh. Yeah, I don't know, so you're going to be in this situation soon, and I've been in this situation a couple times. Just being a developer, being in IT in general. First of all, so I'll talk about the things that reasons why I would join a company. Most of the time when I join a company, I think, 1, they're doing good in the world. 2, they have an exciting or innovative technology department, or they're doing things publicly in open source. These are the things I gravitate towards before I even select the company. They're doing something new, something innovative, or they're doing really good and something for the community. Those are the things I look at, before I even try to apply. And, it's happened, I've only done it a handful of times in my life. I haven't had that many jobs, but, some big companies. Accepting an offer, what do I look out for? Well, when they make the offer, it just depends on the company, right? It depends on the company. You're gonna look at pay, you're gonna look at insurance, you're gonna look at benefits, you're gonna look at 401k, and they're gonna try to wrap that up in a big bow and say it's your total compensation. And this is your total compensation, which it is. Arguably, it is. I mean, just because, you're not getting whatever the $300 extra in your check, but they're paying that for insurance, it doesn't mean it's not part of that package too. So, I try to evaluate all those things. And I would encourage you too, when you accept an offer too, look, do they have a 401k? Do they offer insurance? What is the insurance? Who's the provider? Do I have local providers in my area where I can get, medical attention? Those are all the kinds of things I look for. And then potential growth too, is, did you get hired in to where you could grow? Or did you get hired in to where, maybe the position that you're in, there isn't another stepping stone? But yeah, it's a broad, open question, Home Lab New, but those are the kinds of things I think I've evaluated. Most of the time though, when I've applied for companies and I've gotten that far to the offer, I want to work for that place. I want to work for that place. And I'm so like elated most of the time that they've extended that offer. So most of the time, I'm just like, as long as I don't see any, glaring, obvious things like no health insurance or whatever it is that you value. As long as I don't see those, I'm mostly all in. I will say though, I've said this a few times: always counter, always counter the first offer. You'd be surprised. It sounds weird, and it's not denying it. It's just countering it because most of the time when companies go that far, they're already invested, and so they want you. So I don't know. That could backfire though. So take that with a grain of salt. That could totally backfire. But I found it mostly works. I don't know. Maybe it won't work in all scenarios, but just counter just a little bit. I mean, it's just like it's like haggling on Craigslist, except for it's a job and it's your life. No, don't haggle too hard. But no, those are the things I look for. Tough Toes, what tech stack do you work on for your job? So I mean, a lot of the things you see. So what tech stack? I don't even know if it's all open source stuff. So a lot of JavaScript, a lot of TypeScript, Kubernetes, you name it. All the things you see in my channel, anyways. It's the things I'm passionate about. The things we're doing. A lot of stuff. So I will say that like the things you see on my channel aren't things we're doing at work. I'm not spinning up Plex servers and going all crazy. And I have, the servers in my basement. No, absolutely not. No, we're, in a public cloud, and we've done things right. Not the Tim way that Tim does at home. But, it's a lot of the things that, a lot of open source stuff. I don't know how much I can and can't say. It's not a big secret. But just think of any tech startup and what would they choose? What database would they choose? What cloud would they choose? What messaging system would they choose? What code would they write? What platform would they write on top of? How would they orchestrate that stuff? Do they have CI, CD? Plug in, the top 1 or 2 answers for all of those questions. And yeah, that's what we're doing. So, but yeah, a lot of it. Yes, I'll just say yes. Zantella, hello everyone. How's it going? How are you? Nantiv, what do you think a small startup is suitable for an entry junior level developer? I do. Sorry. Let me grab a drink real quick. My mouth is so dry. I'm going to open another one. I got the backup bubbly today because, it's not a bubbly, but a bubbly water. 1 second. Sorry, I have a mint, and it's just, I say it every time, but it's just plastered to my cheek because I haven't taken a drink of anything. Do I think a small startup is suitable for an entry or junior level developer? I do. Because of a couple of things. Like when startups get to a certain point, they can't always hire all stars. I mean, you can hire all stars forever, but at some point you need to get junior level people in there. One, because it's a great growth opportunity for the person that you're hiring, and as well as a mentor type opportunity for the person that's already there. So So I'm speaking from both the company's view and both the hiree or the person who's applying's view. I think it is for a junior level developer. I think it is. but these can go both ways. I'll talk about some pros and cons. Maybe if you're entry level or junior developer and small startup versus big company. With a smaller startup, you're gonna learn a lot of new tech. You're gonna learn a lot of different things, depending on the company, and you're gonna wear a lot of hats. And maybe you want that breadth right away. Maybe you want to be able to do some CI/CD, do a little bit of DevOps, do a little bit of back end, do a little bit of front end, do a little bit of everything, troubleshooting, be on support, those types of things for some of the services, depending on how small the company is. And so you get a ton of breadth right away, depending on the company, but most of the time you're going to get a ton of breadth and you're going to learn about a lot of different things. And a lot of the times, you're going to be using a lot of newer stack, depending on how the company is. I mean, if it's a startup, you're not going to have a lot of legacy stuff in there, and so then that's kind of where we go into, larger companies, so I'll stick on startups for a minute too. Depending on the size of the company though, for a junior level, entry level developer, there might not be, a huge social network for you. A lot of, people who are just out of college or that join, larger companies. There's a social, fabric or network built into larger companies, built into those companies to help newer people succeed and to help them connect with people who are in the same situation or same experience that they're having. And so a lot of larger companies have, a whole organization dedicated to onboarding, to get you connected with other people. Some even have, classes or rotations or SWAT team, or not SWAT teams, but, like mini classes that are almost like startups to help all of the junior developers learn about infrastructure, infrastructure and everything about their organization, over their first couple of weeks. So those types of things are really awesome. And large companies do that really well. Smaller companies like startups just don't have the resources to do something like that. And so that's something I've always appreciated about the companies I worked at. They understood, that junior developers need, or anyone starting at a new company, needs to, understand what the company's about, how you navigate the organization and stuff like that. Whereas at a smaller company, I mean, how do you navigate the organization? You elbow the person next to you and you're like, how do you do this? Or what do we do here when we're supposed to do this? And so, it's really going to be up to you. I see a lot of junior developers, so people who are just finished up learning whatever they need to learn and getting their first job, go with bigger companies, because those are good times. Those are good times because you're going to meet a lot of people, that have the same experience level as you. You're going to meet some really good friends. You're going to, those friends could go on to be the friends for the rest of your life, just like some of the friends you may or may not have met in college. I look back on those days too, and I'm just like, yeah, those times were great. Being young and just being new to a company and meeting a whole bunch of people who are in the same boat as you. It's kind of like your little class within the company. And they have, it just depends on the company. I'm like generalizing about, the three large companies that I work for, but it was, they had similar programs. So yeah, is it suitable? It can be. It depends on what you want. If you like those types of things that I just mentioned, larger companies is going to be great for entry level or junior level developers. If you want to learn a ton of breadth and learn a lot of new tech really fast and be responsible for a lot of things and grow really fast, yeah, I think a small startup's going to help there too. So wow, that was a lot. I'm sorry. PC Geek. It says it can work with Docker Swarm too. I posted a link in Discord. Yeah, thanks, dude. Yeah, I'll definitely check out Dazzle for sure. Yeah, that's good. It's good. Gumty 2. What are some of your favorite books? Oh, it's had the biggest influence on me. Wow, these are coming. Man, I should take the AMA tag off. Whew. This is a tough one. This is a tough one. I don't know this is a tough one. So I don't read a lot for leisure. Most of the stuff that I read is instruction manuals, how-tos, how to get started, how to do something, how to implement stuff, periodicals, articles, blog articles, but never, longer. I never set aside time to read because I'm usually doing this. And maybe I should set aside a little bit more time to read. Being honest. I don't even know. My favorite book when I was a kid was this one called Look Who's Talking. And it was about this ostrich who everyone at the zoo thought couldn't talk. And so everyone around the whole entire zoo is like, what is wrong with him? Why isn't he talking? What is wrong with him? Why doesn't he say anything? And so the bears were asking the bears, peacocks were asking peacocks, and the zebras were asking everyone, like, why isn't this guy talking? And at the end of the day, it's kind of like me when I was younger. I didn't talk a ton. The ostrich could talk, but no one had actually asked him if he could talk. So anyways, I don't know. I don't mean to make light of your question. I wish I did read more. The last book that I read that I thought was super interesting that I applied was The Toyota Way. And that was more of just learning about business management and how Toyota as a company focused on quality and focused on, hyper-focused on quality and breaking up their assembly line into little smaller parts. Similar to the way I guess I break up code and write code, but it's been a while. I wish I had a better question. Maybe next time I need to put that in my my goals for 2021. Read more, because I'm not a huge I don't have the attention span. I feel like I have to be in control of what I'm consuming, and sometimes books are not that. Terminals are. Xstaff, thanks for the follow, appreciate it. Philo, thanks for the follow, appreciate it. Hurrargo, that's what I'm going with. Thanks for the follow, appreciate it. Phil Frisbee, thanks for the follow, appreciate it. Thanks. Sorry, these all rolled in. I didn't see them. I turned my notifications down a little bit because when I review it, sometimes it's super loud. Can open worms everywhere. Yeah. Oh gosh, no, we're not. Oh, we are talking about network speed. Oh man, I knew I shouldn't have brought it up, but I'll go with it. Takano, I know that's not your real password. You're kidding me. So Takano does this thing where he puts his password in every now and then. It's not really his password, but when it is, I like to rate it. And so this password, I'd say is pretty good. It's a pretty good password. Length looks pretty good. I'm guessing 22-ish. Special characters, upper, lowercase, numbers, letters. Love it. Good password. Should probably change it if it's real. I know it's not real. 3 gigabits on the speed test mapping. Yeah, I know. But it was local. I love it. Phil Frisbee, hey, just passing through. Saw your few videos in Rancher, etc. Thanks for them. Yeah, no problem at all. No problem at all. I do have the password. I thought we had a password reset emoji. I think we do. Torchilla, hi Tim. Lately I've been beating myself up trying to come up with a project idea that has the potential to generate passive income. I like it. I like passive income. Since I started thinking about that, I feel dumber than ever. How do you guys cope with this? I assume it's everyone's dream. Yeah, it's tough. How do you monetize something? It's super tough. It's super tough, especially building a service that you can. Because I think, like I mentioned earlier, you gotta have numbers behind it, right? You gotta have numbers to be able to do it. And so how do I cope with this? Since I started thinking about it, that I feel dumber than ever. How do I cope? I don't know. It's okay to feel dumb when you start anything. I felt dumb last night writing code that I've been writing for a really long time. Last night I found this Nest.js, and it's a scaffolding tool for TypeScript and APIs, but it's a totally different pattern, a pattern I haven't used before. And I felt super dumb. I was like, I'm going to crush this API. I'm going to crush this in like 45 minutes. I'm going to do the thing I need to do. I'm just going to use a new pattern, use new tools, and it's going to work. And it turns out I ended up doing Git and init, my initial commit, and I was like, I got to do a lot more reading before I actually do this. So anyways, I know that's not talking about like, how do you, generate income from project ideas, because that's really hard. This is a big topic. And if I knew the answer, I'd do it myself. No, I'm kidding. But it's tough. But everyone feels dumb in the beginning. It's totally okay to feel dumb. If you didn't feel dumb in the beginning, it means you're not growing or not learning something. And I always feel like I always enjoy feeling a little bit uncomfortable and not knowing stuff, because that usually means that I'm learning something, or I'm gonna grow, or at least I took away a piece of something to where later on when I hear it, I'll recognize it, or maybe I'll have noodled on something long enough to where I come back, I understand what's going on. So, but yeah, a project idea, I would say just go for it. Just go for it. I mean, the hard piece is that with any project idea that you have, especially if you're trying to monetize it, there are a lot of pieces in place. One is the idea and getting it going. 2 is getting it going, and 3 is marketing the thing. So never forget about, you need to market the thing. So whatever it is that you're building and doing, it can be the greatest idea ever. But if no one knows about it, then it's, it's tough. So I will say, don't forget about that piece too. But yeah, I mean, I think that is everyone's dream, is to generate some passive income. I mean, but there are lots of little ways. I talked about one earlier. I mean, the easiest way that I can think of, especially if it's hosting yourself, is blog and ads. No one likes ads, and everyone's got ad blockers on. But the blogs run 24/7, and the internet doesn't sleep. I learned that with YouTube too. I thought, well, I'll make a couple of videos and I did. And then I realized, oh, people are up 24/7. I mean, it's something, it's so obvious. But it's content you create that, as long as people can discover it and it's good, they'll consume it. I'm not saying mine's good, but I'm just saying, think of stuff along those lines. If you have an idea, think of, I mean, you could think of content's kind of an easy one, not an easy thing to do, but an easy thing to think about, because if you think of content, like I mentioned, like blogs, whether you like to write or read or create video content or live content's a little bit different, or podcast or music, those are all places where you could generate some passive income. But it has to be marketed, right? People have to know about it. If those platforms have discovery built in, then you could grow organically. But sometimes you got to lean towards marketing, especially when it comes to blog type stuff. That stuff's hard, and it's crowded. Zantella, that can vary depending on what your hardware you use and the workload. I think a factor to think about, if electricity is at a premium in your location, you could build out your location when you build out your stuff. Yeah, did I miss something? Oh, geez, I did. I have a question regarding home labs. What are the consumes in terms of power? Oh, it's all over the place, and Pizza Geek kind of answered it. It's all over the place. It depends on hardware. Hardware is going to be your biggest factor, and so if you're going with servers or PCs, it's going to be more. It's going to be a lot. If you're going with Raspberry Pis, not going to be much. 4 or 5 watts, 6 watts, 7 watts. I don't know how much they pull. I look at mine over PoE and it's 7 or 8 watts or something, and that's almost full tilt. I'd start small. And build your way up. I wouldn't go large and build your way down. I do have enterprise grade servers here in my home lab, because they're a good fit and I need a lot of compute. That doesn't mean everyone should, Sometimes you pay more in electricity over 6 months than you did for the server itself. I mean, depending on what you're running, how hard you're running it, how much is in there. But those are things you'll have to think about. And so if you're going to invest in a small home lab, start small. Start with Pis or start with something else, and then grow from there. Sometimes getting a server is awesome, and getting it racked and working is pretty awesome. But you can end up paying for it in electricity over time. And so I think you kind of hit the nail on the head, is that you need to think about those things. And so maybe it means to make investments into more efficient devices off the bat, so that a year from now, 2 years from now, you haven't been running a machine that's power hungry, for 2 years, and now the electricity has outweighed the cost of what you saved on that server to begin with. So that's, all good considerations. I say start small. Raspberry Pi is a fantastic way. If you're just thinking about hey, I want to run a couple services, a couple things on my network, and very low commitment, go for a Raspberry Pi. And I mean, that was in my, home lab video I just did. it's an easy way to get started. Raspberry Pi, 100%. And then if you decide that like, hey, hosting, or doing whatever you were doing in your home lab with your Raspberry Pi a little bit ago isn't working out anymore, repurpose it. That guy back there, repurposed, I made it into artwork. I call it tech artwork, and so it doesn't always have to be that. And there's a billion projects you could do with the Raspberry Pi. So then it's like, okay, well, didn't want to run these services on this Raspberry Pi anymore. I'm going to do something else. The other cool thing about a Raspberry Pi is, the SD cards are so cheap. You can run your home lab on one SD card, set that aside, and another $8 SD card could be your other project, and you just plug it in. That's why I think they're so awesome. They're so awesome. Let's see. So I apologize, I missed that one. PC Geek, thanks for the help on that. Time to generate a new one. All right. Vacuum? Oh, password. I was like, vacuum? All right. Home lab new. Honestly, my main goal to work a cool tech company and get paid for it. Yeah, that's what everybody wants. I totally agree. And so, yeah, I mean, you're going to put the diligence into selecting the right one. And so when the offer comes down, because I'm sure it will, man, you got this. When it comes down, just make sure it's right for you. And so look at those things. Here we go. Pastoral mushroom. All right, sorry. I need some Pascal case in there, or at least camel case. Would you recommend a Kangaroo PC for small server hosting? I have no idea what a Kangaroo PC is. Sounds awesome. To be honest, I have no idea what it is. If it's small and efficient, possibly ARM, maybe x86 processor, has solid state drives or has mechanical, and you can mix and match them, and doesn't pull a ton of power. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I keep talking about Raspberry Pis, but like I said, I joined mine to Kubernetes and it pulled down 2 workloads because the scheduler was like, yeah, you're not busy. You take these workloads, and it ran 2 workloads on my Raspberry Pi. That's granted, 1.5 gigahertz processor on there. For almost 2 days before I unplugged it. And I was like, oh yeah, it was running my stuff. Let's plug it back in. So you'd be surprised. I mean, it depends on traffic and depends on, what you're actually running. But server hosting, it depends on, I don't know what Kangaroo PC is. I mean, it all depends on your workload. So I would start there. What's your workload? And then work backwards from there. Cause it's like saying, will this car be, I can never get this analogy right or metaphor right. I need to get this one right, but it's asking if something is suitable before knowing what the requirements are, So like, hey, is this house big enough? It's like, big enough for what? How many people you got living in there? And all those types of things. And so those kinds of things, you have to think about. What's your workload look like? What does it look like now on a machine? Is it CPU intensive? Is it memory intensive? Is it disk intensive? And so those are the kind of things you got to look at. Bits of Sin. Okay, thank you. I'll read through the GitHub and see if I missed a step. Have you done pass-through on ESXi? Oh, have I ever? Yeah, I used to pass through NICs on ESXi. Not GPUs. No, I haven't. Have I? I can't remember. I don't think it ended well if I did. But it's been a while since I used ESXi. I used ESXi for a long time. I think 5 and 6. And then I stopped. Home Lab New. If I can spend someone else's money and still play with a few things and they pay me for it, that's my dream. Yeah, for sure, man. And you want to contribute, though. You want to make sure they're getting a good value. Both ends of the deal. Zantella, PC Geek, thank you for the answer. I will start with a Raspberry Pi cluster. Yeah, I totally 100% agree. Slide Obhi, enjoying this, and it's no problem. Yeah, thank you. PC Geek, very low power for sure. I think, in fact, Tim has been testing and run Kubernetes on a Raspberry Pi lately. Yeah, 100% agree. Zantella, I'm actually a PhD student in ICT. I'm greedy resources. I see my main research topics are big data ones. Yeah, okay. If it's big data or machine learning, yeah, it's resource greedy for sure. Home Lab New. You're totally trying to throw some commands in there. I don't know if that one's, let's see. What I don't even know what you're trying to eval something for something and passing it into, yeah. That was a weird noise. Was I here? I don't know. I just heard a super weird noise. Usually the worst they can say is no. Yeah, for sure. Zantello, I'm trying to skill myself in parallelization with Apache Spark. Nice. Mafni, what are you drinking? Yeah, same thing I drink every time. Aha water. I'm a huge fan of like bubbly water in general. And Aha is like my favorite. I've been through the bubbly, the Waterloo, the Target brand, the you name it. I do like Waterloo still because it's a little more natural. But I landed on Aha because they have a caffeinated version. 2 caffeinated versions, and they're pretty good. Now Bubbly has a caffeinated version too, so they're onto it. They're like, oh, Aha can't have the only caffeinated water solution. So Bubbly just came out with one that's mixed berry, and it's actually really good too. But anyways, I love bubbly water. Yeah, I used to drink a ton of pop, soda pop. I don't know, way back, and then I switched to this, and it's great. Well, I mean, I drank after pop. I just drank plain old water. Now it's kind of like I kind of get the feeling as if I'm drinking pop again. I don't really drink it at all though anymore. Shruga, hi Tim, how's it going? New belt installed. All right, Takano. But I ran it for a minute and the belt is already getting pretty hot. Yeah, man, it's a vacuum problem, not a belt problem. Educational. Thanks, Techno. Something is achieved. Yeah, slide. All right. Ellie, Blade, ciao. My English teacher says to me, learn more English. So yeah, I'm here. What are you doing? Yeah, hey, learn more English. I like it. Yeah, I should learn more languages too. I kind of speak another one, but yeah. Well, thanks for being here. Shruga, I feel this stream suits me well. Hey, thank you. All right. Homeland New, I can highly recommend the Cuckoo's Egg, the Sandworm, and Countdown to Zero Day if you're interested in security. Yeah, I like it. I will take these recommendations for sure. Extremely good. The audiobook on all of those are good as well. Yeah, so I didn't count audiobooks. I've listened to audiobooks too. I should have counted those because like, do you say you read an audiobook or you listened to the book? I mean, you say you listen, but when people say, what's the last book you read? Do you include audiobooks? Because that's not really reading, that's listening. But yeah, anyway, I know exactly where you're going. I'm just teasing you. Shruga, Toyota Way. I work for Toyota. All right. Yeah, it was a book on their company and how they revolutionize stuff. Penguin Airlines, Toyota, well known for their lean manufacturing. You got it. Stu the Cockatoo is new at the zoo. I think is a good book. The father of agile. Yeah, for sure. Lean manufacturing. That's what it was all about. And there was a term in Japanese. I should know this, but I can't remember off the top of my head. I couldn't remember when I was talking about it earlier. But yeah, it was I thought a very good book. Let's see. Correct battery horse staple. Wait, what? Correct battery horse staple words. I have no idea. Am I missing out on something? Words. Okay. Tough toes. Generic types are really confusing to me in TypeScript. Yeah. Every time I see them, my brain just wants to do something else. Yeah, I hear you. I think types in general, and I don't know. So I've done a ton of JavaScript. More JavaScript than TypeScript. And types in general, I just feel like, all the syntax. Like, I 100% get why they're there. And every strongly typed language has types. But there's just so much code everywhere. And I get it, it helps you. But man, I wish I could just say, turn off types, let me figure it out. And then if I get a type wrong, show me later. Because man, going from ES6, JavaScript to TypeScript, I mean, I did C# before. Hey, Lude. Hey, thanks, dude. 100 bits. Thank you. Just found a YouTube channel this week for r/HomeLab. Loving it so far. Thank you. Yeah, someone shared my latest video on our home lab, and I was like, whoa, that's where the bump came from this week. Because I was like, man, this one's doing really good. Like, it was my number one by double, and I was like, on day 1 and day 2, it still is, on progressive days. That's how YouTube does it. They benchmark you against your last 10. I was like, what is going on? And then obviously, I visit the HomeLab subreddit and I was like, hey, there I am. Someone shared it. Anyways, thank you. I appreciate it. Blued, thank you. I appreciate it. Glad you found my channel. I'm glad whoever it was shared it. Hopefully it's okay, but I appreciate it. Thank you. But yeah, going back tough toes types. Yeah, I totally agree. I don't know. I did .NET and C#. I've done Java, I've done Kotlin, and types they don't bug me. I mean, a lot of times I'm just like, just let me write code and stop going crazy when I get a type wrong or compile, the JavaScript way, you figure it out later. You find your bugs at runtime instead of compile time. And so, it's tough flip-flopping back and forth because I'm like, I don't know. Anyways, the types, there's just so much markup for types. I totally understand why. And like, I feel the same way if you ever do Redux and TypeScript. I'm just like, there are like, 100 characters just, defining what this type is. And I still haven't even written like what my method does. And I've written 100 characters and types. It's too much. I totally get it. I'm not knocking TypeScript. I love it. C# too. But after doing a lot of JavaScript, it's just like, woof. But anyways, Penguin Airlines. I just read a pretty good article about a framework to get something positive out of typical negative thought stream. I like it, man. Yeah. You should totally share it. Share on Discord. I'll check it out. Slide Obi. OP. Yeah, I'm going with Slide Obi. Sounds good. Dumb is censored intelligence, maybe. Do you guess you have to be passionate about? Wait. Okay. Dumb is censored intelligence, maybe. Guess you have to be passionate for things. Yeah, I think so too. That definitely does help. It definitely does help. I have a lot of passion in the things that I do that I like, for sure. I talk about it. I tell everyone about it. I probably drive them crazy. Dandatam. Is that right? Dandataman. Hi, Tim. I'm a sysadmin and want to learn more about DevOps. Thank you for the videos. I've learned a lot from you. Hey, no problem at all. I'm a software developer and I want to learn about DevOps. So we're all, no problem at all. Yeah, it's a good place to be in. It's super hot. It's at the intersection of development and operations, hence the name DevOps. It's super good because you get to learn things on both sides of the fence. You get to learn about, all the things about operations, cloud engineering, cloud hosting, web hosting, making things work, back-end databases, connections, like everything you can think about, back-end, high level. And then everything you can think about at front end too, like, these developers are trying to make this thing work. They're trying to compile their code. And so I love DevOps because you're right at the intersection of where things, go from ideas to reality, and that's why I love DevOps. And plus, it's 100% automated. Maybe it's not all, but I just love it. I love it. I'm like getting so excited. I'm like shaking my whole entire desk. Never seen someone so excited about DevOps, but yeah, I love it too. And I only scratch the surface on a lot of DevOps stuff, but I've been genuinely interested in it in a long time. One of the first big companies I worked at, we worked on a team that, rolled our own DevOps. It was before DevOps was called DevOps. We were just, I don't know what we were called. We were given a whole bunch of names, usually, hey, idiot. No, I'm kidding. We were given a whole bunch of names of what we were doing DevOps before it was even DevOps. And that's where I kind of grew this passion for it. Like, how do we move code? How do we store code, move code, get it in production faster and faster and faster, all while, how do we move database changes? So we automated database changes. How do you move, even that, even some companies now today are just like, yeah, we should probably source code our database changes and, and move them through the pipeline just like code. We were doing that way back then. We wrote an automation tool to do that where people couldn't just, run a SQL update script on their machine connected to a prod database. No, they had to actually put it through a system to do it. And it did a whole bunch of checks ahead of time. So yeah. Anyways, I'm like geeking out about DevOps stuff, especially back in the day, but I'm glad you're here. Thanks for saying something. I appreciate it. Michael Panic. Hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. Sorry, just like destroyed my thumb too. Anyways, Takano, my whole rack, my average power consumption is 1 amp. Nice, dude. Nice. Yeah, I like it. Dantadam, about devices using lots of power, more screens and more HDDs use more power. Yeah. If you have 6 drives in a server or more, buy bigger disks so that you don't have to spread around multiple disks as much. Yeah. Yeah, my array right now is 6 disks, and I've rethought how I'm gonna do storage in the future. I don't think I'm gonna go bigger than six disks because even though I have a disk array that can fit 24, I bought thinking I'm buying for the future, and I might have overbought. I've gotten a ton of use out of it, and I love that I can fit 6 disks in there. But I don't think I'm gonna go more than 6 disks because that's, like you said, more power, more heat. And then more points of failure too. I get it. I'll get more storage out of it, but more points of failure. and I want, not that I don't want any redundancy. At the same time, having, 6 points of failure versus 12 points of failure, I obviously have ZFS and things, I have my storage architected in a way to where it could sustain a few hits. But I just don't want that many disks anymore. I don't know. Maybe I'm being too greedy. I don't know. Takano, my dream job is working at AOL. LOL, yeah, right. Goodbye. Hurrah, go. Hello, I want to start a personal project, but I have no ideas. How do you come up with project ideas? Sorry, I should really get a Band-Aid or something instead of just, anyways. How do I come up with project ideas? That one's tough. They usually hit me when I'm not even thinking about it. So my thing is like, how do I come up with ideas? I don't. A lot of ideas are already thought up of. So a lot of the times my ideas are like, how can I do something better? How can I serve people better? How can I do something different? How can I do something with my own spin on it? And, those are tough. Most of the time, those don't come to me when I'm sitting here. They don't come to me when I'm sitting here at my computer or in front of my phone or in front of my tablet, which I rarely use a tablet. They come to me when I'm doing something that I'm totally not even doing that's, related to technology, like going for walks. Like I love walking. I love it. Like I could walk all day. As long as it was new scenery and I've never seen it before, I love it. And so like going for walks, that's where my brain wanders, I let my brain wander. Obviously I pay attention to where I'm at. I'm not like on drugs or anything, but I let my brain just kind of go. And I think of things in my head and my brain starts exploring all these different ideas and different things or things that I tried and didn't work. And so this is more than just, how do I get ideas for the next big thing? This is how do I solve problems that I've been stuck on for a long time. And so I encourage you to do those types of things. Take a break from what you're doing and do something totally different. Not only will you maybe figure out the problem you're working on, think of a good idea, but it's good to get away and try something different too. And so I've had that. That's happened to me a few times where that's how I got involved in software development. I really love auroras or aurora borealis or the northern lights, right? And so I was from the Midwest. I thought I'd never see them. I came up here to Minnesota and I'm like, here's my chance. And I had an opportunity to go way up north, even from here, up into Canada. And I actually saw one that night. But to prepare for that, there wasn't anything out there. I didn't have anything that could tell me alerts. I was bookmarking web pages, all the things that you don't want to do when you have to plan something. And so, even way back then, I was inspired to build a little tiny app. And it had nothing to do with technology at all until I started thinking about the problem. And I was like, well, what's the problem? The problem is I want to know about space weather activity. I want to know, how soon or what the current level is. I want to know about alerts. And so rather than dig through emails and sign up for all these notifications, I'm going to build something myself. And so, things like that. Obviously, like there are a lot of apps out there and a lot of services out there. But you don't have to have the next big idea to build something and be successful. You could be successful with 1,000 people supporting you, 1,000 people that are really dedicated to your app or your service or the content you create. And that's sometimes all you need. So anyways, this is all the things that, I kind of think about. I think the takeaway here is that, if you're feeling stumped and you want to, I just highly recommend taking a break from what you're doing and just go for a walk. That's a good place to start. Go for a walk. And think about the things that are either troubling you or think about the things that you have ideas about, because you'll get better ideas. Anyways, I'm going on and on about that. Here we go. Dan Tadam, man. There's so many A's in there, but I love it. I'm going with Dan Dat a man. Dan Data Man. There we go. All right. I didn't even need Pascal Case to figure it out. Dan Data Man. There we go. I got a great quote from a show I watched last night with my wife. Your Honor. Go deep, not wide. Learn one thing before you jump to the next thing. I like it. Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, go deep. Niche in general. Right now niche is just flourishing. in every single market, everywhere you can possibly think of. So like, just general, high, generic, not generic, but more general ideas or likes have been getting crowded out by all these tiny little niche things. And so this kind of plays into what you're talking about. Go deep, not wide. And so that's a niche too. I totally agree. And I kind of live by that too. With how deep I've gone on some of my technology here, and then every now and then I got to like pull myself back out and then go down this another, niche or deep topic. But I totally agree. Go deep as you can possibly go on something, because, and not only for learning, but I guess I should say for learning, because learning those super niche or deep skills, I think are a sign of someone who's generally passionate or interested in that thing. And, the more niche you go, the less people there are that are doing what you're doing too. So I totally agree for all the reasons. Give me money, Andy. Okay. Seabril, Walsey. Do you think FPGAs are going to start getting more popular in the realm of ML? Ooh. So I'm going to be honest. I don't know what FPGAs are. Acronyms, I'm not so great at acronyms, especially newer ones if they're trendy. So I don't know if they're going to be more popular in the realm of ML. I assume that's machine learning. I don't know. Next time, ask me. I don't know what the acronym means, but I can't answer the question. I apologize. Fractalum Finitas. Hey, thanks for follow. Appreciate it. And Sarumano. Thanks for follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. Michael Panic. I mentioned that one. Thanks for follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. Playing with Elasticsearch at the moment. Yeah, nice. Yeah, Elastic's huge. Pizza Geek. I still can't find that coffee aha yet in my local Walmart or grocery. Yeah, it's cherry coffee. Yeah, cherry coffee aha. My absolute favorite. I talk about it a lot on here. I love it. The secret is out. Either they stopped making it or everyone's buying it up. During the pandemic, it was the only bubbly water left on the shelf because people probably had the same reaction I did when I saw it for the first time. Like, ugh, that doesn't sound good. But it is so good, and it has caffeine in it. Now it's the first one's gone. It won't stay on the shelf. I should have never said anything about it. Not that people were like, yeah, Tim mentioned cherry coffee. Aha, I got to go get it. It's super good. Just a hint of cherry and just a hint of coffee in a bubbly water with caffeine. Oh, so good. If you find it, it's good. Been looking for it and can't find it. Yeah. It definitely, I definitely include audiobooks. Okay. All right. All right. I need to add audiobooks. So thank you. That's good. That's a good tip. I read through that one. Correct battery horse staple. Whoa. Hold on. Correct battery horse staple is a reference to a password strength. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Thank you, Maffney. I had no idea. I was like, random words, but I love it. Okay. Battery horse staple. I got to look into this one too. Battery horse staple. All right. I got 3 things I need to look into. I need my notepad back so I can scribble these things down. Thank you. But it's an XKCD comic. All right. I like it even more now. ZLT Daniel. Tim, I know that only you can help me in this tragic moment. Oh, gosh. What? Oh, I hope. Pressure's on. Get cloned in a repo and a .py, trying to make an exe for a window for personal growth. Is there a way? I also need to include some third-party dependencies in Python. Oh, man. But to make an... for personal project, is there a way? So to create an executable from a Python script? Oh, I'm sure there is. I mean, I generally don't. I could see why you would, because yeah. So why? So let me think about this. Do you have to? No, right? They have to have Python installed on their machine. Then you execute the Python script with Python. And so, do you make an executable? You can. But I think with the executable route, it's to bundle up all your files, hide all that stuff from them, bundle up the files, and maybe bundle Python if you want into there too, so that they have the interpreter so they can execute those scripts. Is there a way? Absolutely. I'm sure there is. And this is me saying it without knowing because of how popular Python is. Absolutely. I'm sure there is. There's so much software written on Python. and it's cross-platform too. So it if depending on where your target device is, it can be cross-compiled and then bundled up. Can you do an executable? I'm sure. Ping me in Discord. I'll find something. But all of my Python stuff that I've written runs in containers, and I use the Python container, and then I can just execute Python scripts from there. So I have, Python on my path if I use the container. But sorry, I know you're in dire straits right now, but hopefully that was good enough. Veranos, I'm making an animated grid background with each square changing between random colors. Fancy. That sounds fancy, man. You got your CSS stuff down. HTML, CSS. I bet there's no JavaScript. I bet it's only CSS, and it sounds awesome. So animated grid background with each square changing random colors. So fancy. Sounds awesome. And Swift UI. Oh, I was totally wrong. In Swift UI. Nice. So doing it in Swift. It wasn't even web tech at all then. Sounds awesome. Unless Swift, I assume Swift UI is part of Swift for iOS development. Making assumptions here, unless it's some framework that I haven't heard of yet. Sounds awesome. I want to know more. Want some more of that. Dan the data Adam man. No, I figured it out before I saw that. I promise. I figured it out. Dan the data man. I got it now. Thank you. Santel, look at setup tools, entry points, console script. Oh yeah, from your pip package. Sibril, Walsey, thank you so much. I knew it was possible. There's no way like you would be able to like write Python and have force everyone to have to execute a Python script that way. Flutter Dev, talk to people outside of tech. That helps me. Yeah, hey, great. Flutter Dev, fantastic. That is such a good observation or comment too. Yeah, because every time you talk to someone outside of your tech bubble, outside of the technology, or outside of someone who knows the ins and outs of tech, you learn a ton of stuff. You learn. I totally agree. 100% can't agree with that more. Flutter Dev, good point. I might use that. When people ask me this question again, because I totally agree. Anytime I talk to someone who's not in tech, which is most of the people that I know that I don't work with day in and day out, like my friends from college or friends from my hometown, they're not in dev, and I learn so much. Good call. Tough Toes, that's awesome. Takano, Radio Shack or Fry's Electronics have also caught my interest as a first job. Radio Shack or Fry's. Is Radio Shack still around? I assume they are. I hope they are. Yeah, man. Tough Toes. How do you get into coding? Were you a CS major? Have you always been interested in tech and programming? Tough Toes, no. So I've answered this a few questions here. I'll give you the condensed version, Cliff Notes version. How did I get into coding? It was kind of what I just talked about a little bit earlier. I started out in tech support because I love computers, and I went to school. I studied Japanese, and I studied computer applications. I have a minor in that, so no computer science. But that landed me a job in a tech support role. I loved it. I loved it so much. I still look back fondly on that tech support role because I learned so much about people, about tech, about just a lot of good core like infrastructure stuff, and a lot of empathy for end users very early on. That's something that I think like tech in general, especially if you're a software developer, you just have to have empathy for people and people who use your software. So anyways, was in tech support, tons of empathy for people because I would show up, their machine's not working and they can't do their job. And so it's up to me to fix it. And so I totally, anyways, in tech support, I learned to empathize with people. I learned a lot about just, infrastructure in general, how computers work, how to image machines, how to automate scripts. And so that just took me to other places. Did more infrastructure stuff later on. Got interested in programming because I wanted to write my own app. And then I was already automating a ton of stuff with PowerShell and and batch scripts and doing a lot of software automation with installation with SMS 2003. This is going way back. SMS 2000. I don't know what was after that. But not that I was doing SMS in 2003, but Microsoft's weird numbering version where they're like on a 10-year-old number in the name for like 10 years. Anyways, so no, and then I wrote my own app, and then I started building apps, and I thought it was super fun. Then in order to build an app, I had to write services. So I learned how to write services and backend services, had to learn about databases. So, to store all that data from the API. And I did all this on my own. I was just like, no, I want to build an app. And, I didn't know at the time apps needed all this stuff. And then, so I just went after it. And then I self-hosted my stuff. Well, first I hosted in the cheap version of AWS. I paid like $5 for a VM and it did everything. And then moved it to Azure. And then, self-hosted it. And that's how I started getting more into self-hosting. Still host that same service today. It's been through many iterations of .NET and C# and now it's on Node.js. But anyways, so no, don't have a CS, 100% self-taught. That's how I got interested in it. And then an opportunity came up at a company I was working at. They wanted a software developer. I knew the manager, thought highly of him, loved him, still do to this day. Work with him now at the startup. Anyways, he was like, hey, I don't care if you don't know how to do this. I know you know how to learn. I want you to be here if you want to be here. And so, I had a fantastic opportunity to open up. And I think it was just based on my passion for tech. Yeah. So anyways, but all self-taught, lots of Pluralsight, lots of frustration, lots of, not having anyone to ask questions, a lot of that, a lot of stuff that comes with software development. I mean, if you could imagine that, 10 years ago without, the resources we kind of have, was it 10? I don't know, I wouldn't go 10. That's kind of far. Maybe I'm kind of stretching it. Maybe about 8 or 9 years. Pretty close to 10 now that I think of it. Think of, the self-learning and tech self-learning landscape 10 years ago. I mean, now we obviously have a lot more. It's hard then, and so I, had to do a lot of it myself. But that's software development in general. You're going to be doing and figuring out a lot of stuff by yourself. Coil, TwitchBot, dude, thanks for the bits. Appreciate it. Thank you so much, dude. But yeah, tough toes. That's my history. Start out tech support. I'm so proud of it. I'll never look back. I'll never look down on anyone who's, anything help desk, tech support. I've done help desk too. I love it. Taught me so many valuable skills. One of the most is one, courtesy, and two is having empathy for users, because that's something that I think a lot of the tech world needs, especially developers. And I'm not saying they don't have it, but they just need a little bit more. What would that person that's using your software, if they're sitting right in front of you, say, and how would you, treat them? And that's how I think the world in general needs a lot more of that, face to face. How would you treat someone versus what do you say to someone behind a digital screen? But anyways, I'm all over the place. But yeah, great question. Stealth Cooler, currently working on tech spam service. I like it. Got the back end working, started working on the front end. Yeah, super interested in this. So then I'm just interested in how you read the text messages coming in. Must be Android, because I don't think iOS will let you. But super interesting. Yeah, fight it. It's a good fight. Because I'm tired of spam. I'm tired of phone calls from robocalls and all that. We should have been over this a long time ago. We got the tech in place, but yeah. Seaborough, Walsey, that's okay. FPGAs are field programmable gate arrays. They are a niche reprogrammable ASIC. I know nothing about them. They sound awesome though. Sound super awesome. I've only done a tiny bit of machine learning. I just started going down this path about learning more about it in general. And I think when I started to do object detection, that's when I kind of dove into it on my own instead of watching videos about it and kind of reading blogs about it and hearing about all the tools and tech to do it. That's when I decided I'm gonna try this myself. But yeah, thank you. Penguin Airlines, tastes like a Tootsie Roll. Yeah, to me, just finished my last one. Yeah, good call. It's 100%. Yeah, it's got that little bit of chocolatey kind of coffee taste with a little bit of sweet on the cherry. Yeah, good. Yeah, you nailed it you got a good palate, man. Ployd, how's it going? How are the super micros working out for you? And how loud are they? Yeah, super micros, sorry, I'm like karate chopping myself. The super micro servers working out fantastic. Zero complaints. I saved on power. I saved on, it has enough compute. It's all SSD in there. Granted, there's only 4. I have zero complaints. I love them. How's the sound? That's what a lot of people ask. The sound is, so I will say it's quieter than when my Dell R710 and my other PC Convert server were on. Those two together were, audibly loud. My 1U servers don't get that loud. If I cranked, and I can attribute that to a couple of things. One, they're in the basement. Basement's unfinished. It's cold in Minnesota right now, right? So the basement's about 50 degrees. So, it doesn't take much to keep them cool. Last summer, it could get up there. Next thing that I can attribute that to is that, I have the CPU that I got has many cores. And, so I'm not pegging. And a lot of the workloads I run are multi-threaded. So I'm not pegging, 8 cores or 4 cores, to 100%. I'm pegging each core a little bit. I don't know if that's less heat or not. To me, it sounds like it might be. I don't know. But anyways, in general, less noise than it was before. Is it silent? No. Is it different? Yeah. The sound is different. So when you have, those smaller fans on the 1U servers versus the Dell R710 fans, it's just a different, pitch. It's a little bit higher. They're a little bit smaller. If I would run these servers at full tilt, yeah, it would get pretty loud. But at the same time, there's only 1, 2, 3, 4 fans. And then there were the 2 dummy fans. I think there's 4. And it's a single socket server too. So they're smaller 1U servers. So, not bad. I have zero complaints. I paid a little bit more than buying something used off eBay. But at the same time, I'm already super happy. I have zero regrets whatsoever. And I've been saving power monthly. So, eventually that will pay for itself. If I run them that long, it'll take a while for it to pay for itself. If I, don't count the hard drives and the things that I would have put in another server anyways. But I can't be happier. I guess I could be happier, right? Dead silent. Yeah, I'd be happier. But it's in an unfinished basement in a cold Minnesota winter. And, so it's been pretty good. Yeah, enough said. Quantum Bolt, thanks for follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. Pastoral Mushroom, thanks for follow. Appreciate it. Patrick Pie, thanks for follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. Thank you. Let's see. How's it going? Super Micros? Yeah. Garrus, working on a project to visualize whatever data with React and Node.js, hoping to convert client support to development. Wait, working on a project to visualize weather data. All right. And with React.js and Node.js, hoping to convert from client support to development. Hey, yeah. Hi. I've been there. Yeah, so awesome. Congratulations. I hope you're enjoying React.js. I'm a huge fan of React.js. Anyone who comes to this channel, I usually get the question, I'm surprised I didn't get it yet, Vue versus React. And, I explain the differences and why someone would choose one over the other, but I'm a huge fan of React. I have been for a long time. Node.js too. It's really helped revolutionize, my development platform, how fast I can build and iterate on things, how fast I can get things out. It's fantastic. But yeah, it's really awesome. Curious what you're going to use to visualize that data. I assume maybe some D3.js, so you can do, or Chart.js. Yeah, I'm curious because I've done some D3.js. So D3 with charting, you can do all different kinds of charts. Think of every chart you can possibly think of, as well as maps as well. It's pretty fun. It's kind of lower level. I haven't done it in a while, but I remember it just being a little bit lower level than I liked. I was manipulating SVGs versus, chart objects. Maybe that's changed, but yeah, awesome. Congratulations to you. I hope you get it, man. Hope you make that conversion if that's what you want to do. Salvarius, RGB Viking helm when? Oh, I don't know. I gotta find a wearable. So the joke has come up a few times that I don't know why. I don't know how it started, but I was going to wear some Viking helm that had RGB lights that people could control. And I'm all about that. But I have a couple requirements. One, I want to be able to program the thing, and I don't want it to be binary. I don't want it to be on, off, on, off, on, off. I want it to be like I do back here. All that text scrolling across there is code I wrote and code running in my infrastructure and on Raspberry Pi that I built myself too. So I want control over it. And then two, if I am going to do something, I want a message that I could put on it too, so that people can write a message that would show up. So I have some ideas, but my only idea so far is to get 2 of those LED panels that are back there and make some huge, like, wearable, 80s chain that has some, LED panels on it to where, I could get some text. I want it to be cool. I want it to be cool. And then I was thinking, I'm spilling all the beans. And then I was thinking, if I did do that, and I'm not going to wear it obviously all the time, I might end up putting it back there above the mirror so that it could still be seen when I wasn't wearing it. If I do wear it though, I'm going to have to figure out the battery situation. But on Raspberry Pi 4's USB-C power, so yeah, super awesome. And I could get a battery charger in my pocket. I'm getting crazy. So let's see. $1 million idea: create an open source streamer service as an OS you can buy for multiple thousands of dollars. Dan the Data Man. Create an open source streamer service as the streamer OS. You buy it for millions of dollars. Yeah, that's tough. I mean, it sounds awesome. The open source piece, it sounds fantastic. So then, most open source products then, pair that with support or pair that with, plus. It's like, okay, it's free and open source plus what? Plus services, plus hosting. And that's where you start to pay for the premium side, or it might be plus features like some do. Yeah, that sounds all super interesting. It's a tough market to be in. I mean, look at Microsoft and talk about infinite resources. Virtually infinite resources. How much trouble they had with Mixer. And we don't know the full story. I mean, obviously they shut it down to do something else and focus more on the tech behind it, and then hand that over to Facebook. It's a tough market to be in. I mean, look at your competitors, man. You got Amazon, Twitch. You got Facebook, and then you got Google, for live streaming, for streaming platforms. And then you got then you got Facebook again, with Instagram, and, you got TikTok on shorter format. It's tough. It's tough. And then you got like a handful of ones like DLive and all these other ones that are trying to do it too. It's tough. It's tough. It sounds awesome. If someone could figure it out, it would be sweet. It'd be sweet, but it'd be tough. Like, cause you pay a lot of money, and a lot of your money I think goes to obviously marketing, and then getting people onto your platform. That's got to be a huge one, right? People aren't going to go to your platform if no one's onto your platform. That's why Mixer paid a lot of money, for Shroud and Ninja, there would be a lot of that involved too. But then at the end of the day, the hosting costs, the bandwidth costs, and the transcoding costs, that's, you got to be a huge company to be able to do that. Maybe there's a financial model that works, but if you can pull it off, let me know. I'll help out. Penguin Airlines, Rip Fries. All right, so I knew that Takano was trolling me, and just not how hard. We don't have fries in our area, so I have my finger's not on the pulse on fries at all. Like when people say fries, I'm like, okay. Like I have no concept because I've never been to one, and we don't have them in our area. I mean, the same thing probably goes for you when I say Micro Center. You know their online presence, but we have a Micro Center here locally, which I love. And some people just never get that joy of walking into a Micro Center. I get to every now and then. Anyways, Takano, he's trolling me. You keep your eye on him. Dan the Data Man. I'm going to throw a "the" in there. Streamer service like Buy Streamer Box or Hi-Fi with app solutions for Tidal, Spotify, local stream. Oh, okay. So I was thinking like live streaming entertainment, like people, and you're going after. Okay, gotcha. Tidal, yeah. And with those, you got to have record labels or contracts and get artists onto those platforms, and then people sign exclusive ones. Taylor Swift, or I don't know if she's still exclusive to Apple. I don't think she is anymore, but just examples like that. Or Jay-Z, Tidal. And then how awesome is it that Square, all the stuff that Square and Tidal is now. But anyways, it's a lot of relationships, especially when you get into music and entertainment. It's getting people onto your platform, then getting subscribers, to pay for it. And that's tough. So sorry. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. Olo. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Sakuni? I'm going with that. Thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. Let's see. Okay, Mafni, you got to start saying that you do, saying more that you do Sorry, I'm like my eyes are getting tired. You gotta start saying more that you're doing a short stream because they turn out to be the longest. I know. It's like that's like my insurance policy. No, I'm kidding. It was gonna be a little bit shorter. But yeah. Let me see what time it is. Yeah, I probably have to wrap it up in here in a few. Yeah, it is actually. Yeah, it's my insurance policy. If things don't go so well, I'll be like, yeah, guys, it's a short stream. No, I should. I put maybe short because I had something that I might have had to do, but I never got the text. So I just kind of, I didn't check through them all, but I didn't get the text, so it didn't have to be shorter. Gonna see how long the band lasts. Hopefully long enough for the living room. Yeah, I hope it does too, man. Dan the Data Man. I'm throwing the in there. Dan Data Man. 1 U servers equals loud. 2 to 4 servers, same loud. Towers, not loud, yeah. Same as a good gaming computer. Example, Dell R710, you can be in the same room but working. R310, 1U, nope. Dell Tower, T620, no worries. This is if you are in the same room. I can have an office in the same room as my tower, but not in the same room as my rack servers. Same with L3 switches. Yeah, good call. Yeah, good call. I mean, it all boils down to how much space do you have in the box? Because then you can get bigger fans, that with less RPMs that are a lot quieter. Yeah, I totally agree. Would I want to work in the same room as my 1U servers? No, or anything in my server rack. I mean, my disk array shelf, it's pushing a lot of air. And there are 6 drives in there too, So, I mean, arguably, disk shelves too, they have big fans on the back and 2 of them, 2 power supplies, but they move a lot of air, which makes some noise. Tortilla. Let me see. Tortilla Tade Camarones. Hello, Tim. How's it going? Hey, good to see you. I recognize the name from last stream because I understand tortilla and I understand camarones, but I don't understand Tade. How's it going? Floyd, nice. Glad they're working well for you, and thanks for the info on what you're doing. Awesome channel. Much appreciated. Hey, thank you so much. Tortilla, I'm going to go with camarones, just the end. Metrics, traffic, Grafana, Prometheus, please. Yeah. This is my number one request. It's coming, and I've said that. I probably said that for a while. I want to make sure it's right, and so I need to, full transparency. I haven't found the best solution in my own infrastructure yet. Now I want to make sure it works with a couple of things. And so I don't want to just focus on, metrics and monitoring and logging for only containers or only VMs or only, hardware devices or only applications. I want to make sure it's a robust solution. So I want to do it right so that it can serve all your logging and metrics and monitoring needs. But yeah, there are lots of things out there. I'm not saying like something like that doesn't exist. I just need the time to put it in place and let it run, all while doing everything else. But yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. Angel of the Odd, Mixer BU blew their load trying to load it up with content creators instead of letting it grow organically. If they could provide a better user experience. Yeah, I think Mixer was, I think it was a great platform. I love their idea of stickers. I love the interactivity that was built right into it. I love the little like beach ball thing and how people who are watching can interact with the stream by clicking. I thought it was all great. I thought it was all fantastic. And they paid a lot of money for creators. It's like, yeah. Yep. And then all those creators that had that contract, as soon as Mixer, got rid of it, their contract was, I guess, void. And so they just made a ton of money, paid out the whole entire, I assume, contract for years and months. It's payday, as if they needed it. But yeah, I totally agree. Slide Obi, low latency helps. I found the best. Non-consecutive worldwide, there are goes. Quality no one is writing. Twitch estimated time of arrival. The NBM dancing party thing and all the chemical glow suits. That's fashion. Hope you get the light node. If not, cotton candy and patches. Hey, slide. All right. Yeah, there's a lot going on there. Thank you. Cheat 95. I asked myself, how much does Microsoft protect under their underwater server farms from damage they made to the tubes by someone diving in those things. Yeah, those underwater servers that they're keeping cool, super, super awesome and interesting too. But I don't know. Sounds awesome. Yeah, great question. I saw that video on them and I just like amazed. I'm like, yeah, that's how you keep servers cold. You just put them underwater, you know? Maphne, today was Trollface Day. Wait, Trollface Day. All right. Let's see here. I do have to wrap it up, so I'm gonna see if someone mentions me directly, or I'll try to whiz through the comments. Botany, if Micro Center is Walmart, Fry's is like Super Walmart at its peak. All right. Don't get me wrong. I just never had the opportunity to go into one. Yeah. George Hester, hey, thanks for the follow. Appreciate it. Welcome. Oh yeah. Yeah. Thanks, buddy. Don't mind if I do. Yeah, whatever. Cheat 95. If you're putting just a maybe short intro into the title, just to ensure your wife won't get mad, yeah, into the stream. Yeah, 100% agree. Totally agree. 100%. Yeah, it's my security policy, just in case she watches. I'm being like, yeah, it's maybe short. Yeah, good call. Dan, Dataman, you misunderstood my streamer idea. You have done boxes, PCs, just like Sonos apps, but you also have the option for local streaming. Yamaha. Yeah. I totally got it after you started talking about it. Yeah, I totally get it now. With built-in DACs. Yeah. I totally agree. Yeah, it sounds super awesome. Sounds awesome. But yeah, I don't know what else to say about it. I did misunderstand it at first, but I totally get it now. Everything in a thin client, RDP, and a client, admin, title, local NAS, music, etc. Yeah, I totally agree. Just like one big music box. And receivers have done this kind of poorly, where they have a lot of apps integrated from there. But yeah, go the other way around for sure. Tortilla, Tada, Camarones, thank you. From Spanish. Yeah, my Spanish is terrible. So I try to pronounce things if I can in their native language, if they look like that. If not, I assume a native language and I put my own spin on it. Dataman. So open source for a server like Guacamole Gateway for apps, for music, and anything from phones and tablets. RDP is not the best solution on iPads. Know where I'm getting at? Sorry for hijacking your chat. To use for Twitch. No, I totally get. I mean, you're talking about like local streaming of music, or anything like Guacam. Just basically a gateway for all of your media. To me, it sounds like Plex, but because Plex can do this. Plex can do music too, but not streaming. Yeah, sounds awesome. You need something that can basically integrate with that can play all of those or connect all your streaming services and stream them anywhere through another app, basically. I like it. Let's do it. Maphne, it's a wrap. That's totally agree. I totally agree. Thank you. Oh, made it to the end. Real quick, have you ever tried to use Kodi? And if so, yes. How do you solve the problem with the remote app core? Stop working as soon as the job you asked Kodi to do took too long. Cheat 95. I've never used. I might have used Kodi for like a blip, and no. So I don't know the answer to that. I was a huge Windows Media Center user for a long time. I mean, I used Windows Media Center beyond when you should have used Windows Media Center. I remember Microsoft offered it for free in Windows 8 because they were like, it's going away, but people complained, and so if you quote unquote bought it, you could keep it for a little while. And then I found ways to make it run on Windows 10. And after that, I've gone to Plex. I got a super good deal on a lifetime Plex. It was like half off. It was like the OG half off too. They were running some crazy special deal. And I think I paid like $40-50 and I got it for lifetime. And it's one of the best purchases I've ever made. I know it's not open source, but at the same time, it's a great service. So anyways, wish I could help you on the MB stuff, or Kodi, I apologize. Maybe there's someone in Discord who does know. So anyways, hey, man, thank you guys for hanging out so long. Thank you. I appreciate it. It did go a little bit longer than I said it was going to go. But like you said, maybe I'll have to put maybe short in the title every time. I appreciate it. If you guys have more questions, more comments, or anything like that, or want to connect with other people that are here in the channel or not here in the channel, absolutely, you should join our Discord. Our Discord is full of lots of people of different walks of life, different interests, not all tech, but a lot of people in there, and a lot of people that just like to chit chat about tech or bounce ideas off of all the things you're asking me. A lot of people have a different perspective on this. Maphne, good question. I do have to make this quick if we are. Let's do it. Let me open this really quick. There's me. And let's see. Let's see. I'm gonna pick someone. We are gonna raid someone real quick. I'll open up my screen here in a second. Make sure that I'm here. Yeah, let's raid someone. Yeah, thank you for asking me to do that, because I totally forget at the end. We got to spread the love. Who are we rating? We're just gonna pick someone. So my rules are usually someone that's there, that's doing something. It's not a bot. It's not a sponsored stream by a big company, and it's not someone we've rated before. So, and in science and tech, I usually do that. Migrating to ZSH from Bash. I kind of like that. I'm kind of about that. I mean, I use ZSH. Oh my zish. We're going with this. All right. Read Write Rob. Oh yeah, Read Write Rob. I remember Read Write Rob. All right, sorry, I'm like totally geeking out because he has. Yeah, we're going with Read Write Rob. Oh, wholesome stream. Freckled Science. We're gonna do that next. We're gonna do that next time. I just recognize the name because Read Write Rob has been in my chat before, and no one said anything, so I got to choose really quick. But hey, you guys, thank you again so much. Mapney, remind me next time. That we're gonna do it. Freckle or Angel of the Odd. Sorry, I thought it was Mapney still. Remind me next time. Freckled Science, we're doing it for sure. But hey, you guys, get your emotes ready or get anything ready that you're going to send to this person. If you can, I have some. You guys can pick your emotes. You don't have to pick mine. You can pick anything. But again, thank you so much. I will be back on Tuesday. Thank you guys so much for being here. There were lots of subs, follows, bits, a gigantic raid. So I really appreciate that. And yeah, Eloise Game Dev. Yeah, 90-person raid. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Hey, you guys, I'll see you on Tuesday. And here we go. Yeah, have a good weekend and be good to each other. Take care.